What's up, everybody? It's me, D.H. Thorne, and my beautiful wife, Jewel, now Kamila, and my beautiful bird, Jewel, over here, who is just hanging out. Let her out for a little bit for the first part of this till she becomes a bit of a pest and has to go back. She'll probably start biting me at some point. But, yeah, you might even be able to hear her quacking. She makes a weird quacking noise now.
So cute.
Yes. Right, I know. She sounds like the penguin.
She does.
Right?
Especially when she's up to mischief.
She's up to mischief. She's a very mischievous bird.
She's
very mischievous.
Freaking sweet, though.
What's up, Hermit? What's up, Gage the Mage? What's going on, guys? Good to see you. Hermit says, mind the rays. It's a hot day. And Gage the Mage says, the dynamic duo. Are we really dynamic? I don't know. I think we're dynamic. I don't know.
I think we're pretty dynamic.
We're something amic.
We're something.
We're some kind of amic. Let's see. Make a squeaky noise.
Hi, everybody.
Not you, the bird.
What?
Squeak for the. I'm telling the bird to squeak for everybody.
Oh no, I know. I didn't even hear that part. I was just saying hi to everyone. It's been a hot minute for me.
So of course I ripped off a little piece for her to play with, and it's the one with one of her poops on it.
Oh, of course.
One of the ones that of course she wants to eat it. She wants to eat that more than anything. So we figured we would do a pair stream today. You know, we haven't done a dynamic duo stream in a little while. Usually I'm ranting and raving on a Thursday afternoon if I do a Thursday afternoon stream. But tonight, you know, we won't be streaming because you and I are going to see a movie.
Yes, we are.
Nothing special. It's just something that comes with our whatever. So we're going to go see it. Buzz Lightyear or whatever. Something to do. Get out of the house, make fun of it, you know, send Disney more money, not that we want to.
Well, it's fun to go see a kid's movie when we don't have kids anymore.
That is the weird thing. You know? Like, as weird as you and I are, like, we do like a lot of childish stuff. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Help it.
Like, we love cartoons, man. Cartoons and kid shows.
And stuffed animals.
Right?
What better way can you live, you know?
Yeah. Especially when you don't have any real people in your life. So... so we figured we'd show a day in the life of Kamila as she is finally off from all of her work at the nursery. So she's working at home, making stuff for people. In fact, she's been working on something for a custom project. I don't know if you want to show that off or not, or if it's supposed to be private. I don't know if they're going to be watching this at any point, but you can always tell them that we featured your mirror on the show today if you want to message them. But a custom order. So I don't know if you want to show that off.
So far all it is painted. I still have to do another coat.
Okay.
It's indigo purple.
Right, look at that.
Yeah, it actually looks more blue on screen than it does in person.
Right, it does look really blue.
Cameras do not do colors justice ever.
Yeah, I think I saw more of a purple in person.
Yeah.
But it definitely has like a blue. I think in person it looks more like the ghost on your shirt.
Yeah, just a little bit darker. Yeah. It's considered violet, so for some reason on screen it is more blue.
Nice job. Now I have to go get it. The burb just knocked down her toy, so now I have to go find it. Get over here. Knock your toy on the floor. I know I'm your toy, really, but.
Yep.
Here.
Yes, you are. Just like our son was our dog's chew toy, little squeak.
That's right. Yep. Gage can't go to theaters because he doesn't shut up. Gage says, I can't go to the theaters because I have problems shutting up during movies. See, I hate that. No offense, dude, but I would throw something at you, man. Like it's one thing if people are like whispering quietly. It's another thing when it's like, oh, the worst is when it's like a gaggle of little girls, like teenage girls.
Yes and no. Yes and no. It's fun when it's a gaggle of teenage girls, when it's something like Paranormal Activities and they all scream their asses off when the door moves a fraction of an inch. You know, I love those movies just because we can go laugh at them.
Well, I just mean when they're talking. Like, I don't care that they're little girls. I'm just talking about like when they're being obnoxious pricks that like, and they're like
the ones that were
Snapchatting or whatever during the whole. Yeah, and they're like fucking taking selfies through the whole movie and shit. It's like, what the fuck?
Stared them down. It was so funny.
But let's not forget that Karen that got mad to me for whispering to you quietly during the Star Wars movie.
No, it wasn't even during the Star Wars movie.
Oh, it was a trailer?
It was a trailer. That was during the trailers. It's like the movie hasn't even started, bitch. Shut up. And she goes, shh.
Yeah.
And she was like 2 people away from you. She wasn't even next to you.
Oh my God. First I thought it was like that she was deflating. She was rather large. I mean,
I thought she was talking to her boyfriend or husband or whatever.
I didn't know. I was like, how the... I could barely hear me talking to you.
You weren't that loud. You were just being you.
I know I seem like I talk a lot, but my natural state's actually kind of quiet.
You talk less at the movies than I do.
I'm always yelling at you to shut up, in fact. One of our we were dating for a while. We went to go see The Two Towers. And I remember through the whole movie, I'm like, that's great. Can we watch the movie now? I think you'd had coffee or something, so you were just like blah.
Yeah, I had a late night coffee that time. It was a late movie.
I thought it was an afternoon movie.
No,
it was an afternoon movie, honey.
Maybe it was the other one that was later.
I think it was just after lunch or something. Maybe I don't know. Doesn't matter. Timing doesn't matter.
I don't remember. That was so long ago anyway.
Look at us having a married couple type of fight. Look at that.
Way back when I was younger and had a little kid at home, so regardless, I needed coffee to make it through a movie anyway.
15 years ago, just about.
Yeah.
Yep. Kelly Meadows says...
Been that long.
Kelly Meadows says, hello, feels strange to be saying good afternoon. Thank you. Joxer says evening. And Scarlet Bells, what's up? Scarlet says, yay, hello. You beautiful too. Heart, nice to see you both doing a live together. I think she means doing a space live together. Welcome, welcome.
It's nice to be alive, though, after that work season, I'll tell you.
Hermit says the theaters are all non-smoking now, so stuff that. I feel like somebody just dated themselves a little bit. Yeah, I remember when you could smoke in the theaters, sort of. I was a little kid at that point, but yeah, you could smoke in the theaters when I was young.
Remember
there was something like...
Remember when you used to smoke in the hospital?
Oh, my goodness. But there was something about smoke in a movie theater. Like, it just, like, fogged up the environment, and it made it, like, sort of, I don't know, more spooky and weird.
Oh, man, especially for, like, the horror movies, I could see that.
Right?
I think that was before my time, though.
Nicholas Smith says, hey. Yeah. Anesh says, I miss drive-in theaters. Not too many of them around anymore. I agree. Those were pretty cool. I only went to them once or twice. I didn't really... I guess, for me, I still prefer regular movie theaters. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, what's the point in a movie theater? I can stream it at home. And I guess I enjoy the movie experience. Like, I enjoy going to the movie theater, getting the comfy chair, the big old popcorn, although I don't eat the popcorn anymore, but big old comfy chair, because they are big comfy chairs now. And, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, just the big screen. I just love the movie-going experience. I love the whole thing. Like, it's just a thing for me.
We only went to one drive-in movie when I was younger. It was probably the last one they ever had there. I don't remember what the hell the movie was.
Was that where was that? Islip? No, it wasn't Islip.
No, I think it was out in, I forget.
Yeah, I forget.
I was little. I think I was probably like 4 or 5. That's
Phoenix
a long
Claw
time
says,
ago, okay?
Phoenix Claw says, first time here. Hi, everyone. What's up, Phoenix Claw? So we don't have any, like, topics planned for today, except, you know, we're here.
We're here.
We're here. The wife's working on mirrors. I got my little burb. What's up, little burby? Little burby?
And I'll tell you, I've just been suffering from allergies like crazy lately. So if you hear me sniffling or itching my skin, that's all.
Actually, she doesn't have allergies. What she has is in the middle of the night, I stick my finger in some old food in the back of the fridge that's kind of rotten, and then I shove it up her nose, and then in the morning she's got like a stuffy nose. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's what gives me the stuffy nose, but it's the coof bumps that got me. I have chronic hives, and if anything with fragrance gets to me, that's it for like a year.
Nice, sweetheart. Hello, sweetheart.
Enough about that.
Hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to snuggle my bird while April talks. I'm just kidding. Mwah. The KAMILA.
Yeah. I gotta let this dry. I have nowhere to put it.
Put it on your head like a crown.
That'd be great, but this is wet.
Well, you could... Yeah, you know, I thought I'd like you better with, like, purple in your hair, but I always like the pink.
I like the pink more.
Phoenix Claw says, great hair, all black, I think they meant. All black would be awesome. I think black with that pink would be fucking badass. Like, yes.
You know, I would like to do stuff like that again, but way back when I was 16, this is like over 20 years ago, I had black hair, and let me tell you, waiting for that shit to grow out was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just got decorated. Hold on.
Oh.
The first poop of the
I'm not
day.
the only one decorating today.
Yep. Guess I'll have to change my shirt before the movie, huh? You little stinker.
Oh, no.
You know, for a bird, she doesn't poop much. Like, people who like, you know, who like birds, who want a pet bird, like, some birds poop, like, it's like every 10 or 15 minutes you gotta clean yourself off. Little parrotlets, at least this one, she, like, poops, like, every 20 or 30 or 40 minutes. Like, she doesn't poop as much.
Yeah.
And they're so small, you're like, you don't even, like, when you notice, you're like, oh, and it comes right off. So, it's not that big a deal.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to answer a question from Scarlett about chronic hives.
Oh, okay. I'm not really reading the chat much. I looked away for a minute.
Chronic hives is something I have had the pleasure of experiencing since the 3rd grade. I didn't know what it was at first, but then over time we figured out that it was caused by Tide detergent. Among stress and other things as well, but Tide detergent seemed to be the thing that did it to me that early. And in turn, it was anything with real fragrance, you know, like, it's weird because perfumes and like bath and body lotions are fine. But anything with detergent, fragrance, and fabric softener, I am full blown because it's only where my skin touches it that I get them. So what I do is, back when Zantac was still on the market, I would double that with Zyrtec as antihistamines, and it would kick the crap out of it. But Zantac has been pulled from the shelves, and Zyrtec I try not to take often at all because it makes me severely drowsy, cotton mouth, I can't drive, I can't focus. So usually I just take a lot of showers and just ride it out until it's out of my system.
Yeah, but I think we're going to have to get you something tonight when we're out.
Yeah.
Give you like...
When it starts going down into my throat and in my lungs, then it's... in a way, it's...
I hear you like, snoring more at night, too. It's like they're swelling up.
Yeah. It's almost like anaphylaxis, but it's not full-blown. I've never needed to get an EpiPen.
Don't pick my face.
It's never gotten that bad, but it's definitely hives in my throat from the fragrance. So it's fun.
Somebody wants my drink. She wants my juice.
Oh, she wants your juice.
You mean you can't have it out of my mouth? No.
Juice.
Be careful. Don't peck my chin too hard. Well, thank you for being sweet. What do you think? Those are pin feathers? That's my beard, Goofy. It's not pin feathers. That's my beard.
Yes, Scarlett, way back when I was a teenager, I did get allergy tested, but at the time, everything came back negative. I was tested for all sorts of foods, but at the time, they didn't test for things like fragrance. But through trial and error, I found that out.
So, yeah, so I've been reading some comments now. I caught up a little bit. Somebody was saying they tried A Ritual by Michael Ford and are having, let's see if I can find it. Nicholas Smith says, DH, I performed a ritual for Michael Ford's Hecate Necromancy Grimoire, and now I have a horrible attachment. They imprinted on me, move around under my skin, smother and choke me, tried everything. All right. So, psychosomatic responses are a thing. In case you haven't followed me for a while, I have what I describe as a transcendent view of the supernatural. And what that means is that I don't believe in the binary, that it's all just material stuff that we mistake for supernatural stuff, nor do I actually believe in the supernatural either, as if it's something that really is supernatural. I think that human beings experience a mirage of reality. You know, as a non-dualist, I see reality as a mirage that would be called Maya. And that doesn't mean it's just like a regular mirage. A mirage is inspired by something else. So there is something underneath this mirage that is real. But what we experience is not real. Even the self is not real. This bird's not real. My wife's not real in the way that I see them. There's something there that inspires that reality. Now, whenever I do something and I have these supernatural experiences, when I was younger, I was more, shall we say, apt to believe in the supernatural. And so, in a psychosomatic way, that would manifest in things that were more unreal, shall we say. Like, it was like my imagination was getting carried away with itself. And so I would see things more vividly, perhaps, you know. It doesn't mean that that's wrong. It doesn't mean that it's wrong to see those things. So this isn't like a correction. But if these things are troubling you, you have to realize that they're being produced by your own conscious, not even your conscious, they're being produced by your own egoistic relationship with the experiences. You did a ritual, and if you feel trapped by this, if you feel not even trapped, the way you described it is, this is a thing that you can't make stop. This is a thing that's now happening, and victim is a strong word, but it's victimizing you in a sense. It's a conflict, if nothing else. It's something that you're in conflict with. And conflict is the source of all ego. So ego, or I should say, ego is the source of all conflict, and vice versa. They're mutually creating. They're co-creating. Because of your egoistic relationship with yourself, you know, this idea that you exist, you have this experience of these things, and you feel like you have no control over them, because if you have control over them, you're less special, right? It's kind of like if you could just make them go away without worrying about it, then it's not a story, right? Is it a story if they're not something in conflict with you? Of course not. I felt weird squiggles under my skin, and then they went away because I knew they weren't real, is far less an empowering story than I have demon critters crawling under my skin, okay? In no way am I trying to diminish your experience. I'm trying to help you understand your experience, if that makes sense. So the experience you're having is useful and important. If you're having these experiences, that's a sign of something in the psychosomatic, psychospiritual space, okay, that, you know, you might need to look into. But in my, I guess, 32 years of mystical and magical back and forth, both, you know, as a skeptic and a hardcore superstitious type person, and everything in between, all the experience I've had as a spiritual being, I can tell you that anytime I had experiences that I felt like that, they were pretty much in my head. And when I say in my head, that doesn't mean that you don't take them seriously. It doesn't mean that it's to dismiss them. It's that it was easy to dispel. You know, Crowley used to say, if you want to dispel evil spirits, I think it was Crowley, you tap your staff against a log 3 times and they're gone. So what I'm prescribing for you is that you might need to sort of take it a little bit less seriously. Step away from it a little bit. One of the greatest things you can do is to just sort of remind yourself that you are the one who is doing this ultimately as the divine, and that at your whim all of this starts and stops, and it can come and go for that reason.
There's a question from Gage the Mage.
Okay.
First I want to say hi, Nina. Welcome.
What's up, Nina?
Gage the Mage. So, Kamila, about the mirrors. Do you consecrate them yourself before they're sold? No, I do not. I do not consecrate the mirrors. What I urge everybody to do is, anybody that buys these mirrors, I urge you to cleanse and smudge them. I put a lot of energy into these, but it is not intended to be used that way.
Yeah, you put a lot of creative juice into it, and it's not turned into anything specific. So honestly, I don't believe in buying something consecrated by somebody else or charged by somebody else or any of that. You know, it's sort of like I am trusting them and their energy instead of my own and in my own perception of it. And it just doesn't seem to, it's kind of like, you know, like what are those alcoholic beverages that are made by people in like tribal cultures where they spit into it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. It's like somebody spitting into something to ferment it. Like, it's like, I can do that. I don't need your spit. Thank you. But you know, no, so we don't generally do that. And people who don't know, I'm genuinely, I think you should do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Like, whenever it comes to this stuff, you should be personal to you. You know, I'll tell you that I've experienced a lot of times, there's a lot of frauds and charlatans out there. And a big part of that is your willingness to believe in it. I have seen people who have absolutely no actual belief in what they're doing create something, say they charged it, send it to somebody. That person goes, oh, it's the most powerful thing I've ever experienced. But I know for a fact that person's a liar. I know for a fact they're a liar. And they didn't do anything. It was literally something sitting in a box that they shipped off to you and said that they charged for you. And you think it's powerful. Well, why is that? Well, that's because the charge isn't an objective reality, guys. The charge is something that's subjectively put there by you. It is charged, but it's charged by your perception of it. Mm-hmm. I did a video a long time ago, maybe a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit less than that, where I asked the question, when you charge an object, are you charging the object or are you charging your perception of it? And what actually does that charging? And this goes back to Nicholas's comment, because he says other people are experiencing his skin crawling experiences and things getting choked. The mistake that people make is to think it's an objective thing rather than what I described before. It's something that is psychosomatic, and it can spread to other people. If someone else is experiencing your reality, well, that's impossible. Not directly. We can only see a subjective perspective. You know, Kamila and I can look at the same sunset and say there's a sunset over here, but we don't actually both see the same sunset. Okay, we're both inspired by the same sunset, but we all see our own personal subjective sunset. Mm-hmm. So your friend who's experiencing the choking and all this stuff, they're not experiencing an objective choking that's being caused by the same things that you're getting your experiences from. Don't mistake the objective for reality. The objective is just what you agree upon as a source. It's not the experience itself. So if I did send you a charged mirror, what's actually charging it is your own perception of it. Nothing I did actually charged it for you. And this is a very complex thing. Again, I'm a non-dualist, so it's a different metaphysical perspective than the average person. I think most people are superstitious materialists, which is not the same thing as a mystical metaphysical perspective. It looks like it on surface because pop culture tells us that's what it is, but it's not the same thing. A mystical being understands that all is the same divine, but it's having subjective perspectives of itself that seem separate. So Kamila and I are the same divine God being, but she's sitting over there and I'm sitting over here, and we represent sort of like, you know, well, my bird's going to complicate this. We represent two puppets on two hands, but they're attached to the same divine. So what that means is there is, shall we say, a divine source that inspires this. Just like I said before, there's a sunset that she and I can both look at, but neither of us see the exact same sunset. But there is an objective sunset that is not separate from us. It's the same thing as us. But there is a source, there is an inspiration. And this is where the language of non-duality gets complicated. It can kind of break down a little bit. And I got to like really pace myself to explain it. Because the language can sound contradictory, but it's actually paradoxical. The paradox is you're in a position right now of egoistic perception. This creates the idea of self and other, known and unknown, and all of those separations. Oops, careful, bird. This creates the illusion of separateness. That illusion of separateness is what creates this entire shit show of materialism and superstition. Both of them are delusional reflections of something else. That's not to say that your superstitious perspective won't be functional, because the materialistic perspective is functional. Both are functional. A materialist can make a computer that functions. A superstitious person can make an amulet or a talisman that does whatever they think, and they will find it working, just like the computer will be found to work. But that doesn't mean that the two minds will meet and that they'll agree on what's happening there, necessarily. So all I'm suggesting to you guys is not to, don't distract me, little burb, is not to objectify what you're experiencing as if it is real and it is something objective that other people can feel and see. But the thing that inspires you to see it is real. And that thing is unknowable. You'll never know what it is from a human perspective. So this burb that I'm holding in my hand, okay, this is not the burb. This thing is not a burb. I'm calling it a burb. What this is there is a divine inspiration here that from my perspective looks like this green little cute feathered thing. And from its own perspective, I look like a blob of pink flesh that's like a weird bird without feathers or whatever they think. There's a reality here.
UV light.
Yes, and I glow under UV light to them because we all glow in the UV. We're very shiny things to them, believe it or not. What we see is a projection like a shadow. Okay, it's not the reality. Think of it like this. Imagine for a moment that you're facing a wall and someone is behind you and behind them is a light. And the person behind you is holding up different objects and letting them cast a shadow on the wall in front of you. So let's say, for example, I stand behind Kamila and she's facing a wall and I hold this soda can in front of the light, but behind her head. Can she tell me what soda can I just held up? Can she tell me what color it is? Can she tell me what's written on it? No. Will she recognize the object and call it a soda can? Yes, but is she actually seeing a soda can? No, she's seeing a shadow of the soda can. Well, burb is a shadow of whatever the essence of burb is. The things crawling under your skin are the essence, are the projection of whatever essence that is. Your friend feeling choked is seeing the same essence, but it's projecting to them in their subjective way. So all I'm suggesting is to disobjectify and to stop reifying your illusions. And I don't just mean the superstitious ones. I think materialism is a form of superstition too. Because if you really investigate the material world, you realize that all these things that we think are real are not real too. They're all made up of invisible particles with nothing in them, right? They are force fields. They're holographic. There's nothing there that's literally physical. Physicality is a force. That's all it is. And what is a force except an interactive detection? How do you know that something has a force to it? Well, you have to be what? In conflict with it. Remember what I said before about conflict? Egoism is a form of conflict, and conflict is a form of ego. So in a way, this entire reality is an egoistic projection. It's a conflicting projection. In order for two hands to clap, there has to be the perception that they are conflicting with each other. But yet they're cooperating for the clap to occur. Or is the clap the source of the conflict? There's a clap and the conflict emerges from that. These are all like wild thoughts, and this is all really difficult to say in English. Maybe it's easier for me to write, which is probably why I like to write these things. But what do you think? You want to go eat something? You want to go home? You seem like you're having a good time. What do you think? Hello, Burb. Hello, Burb.
I think she's having a good time.
That's right, Wyatt. Atheism and theism are both kind of the same thing because they both follow relatively the same flaws. When you collapse the duality between them and realize the non-dual nature of reality, you transcend both and religion too. You transcend. This is why I am neither an atheist nor a theist. I transcend both. My view of what is going on is something completely different from either one of them. In my worldview, you can still have your gods and still be skeptical. You can still look at the divine and say, it manifests to us in the form of divine beings. But that doesn't mean that they're real, because even you are not real, guys. The thing that you think you are is a real experience. That doesn't mean that they are real in the objective sense. They're only objective to each other. Yes, hello. Hello. You very. You want to be cuddled? Is that what it is? Okay. Oh, you don't want to cuddle. You want to bite my fingers?
She bitey again?
No, she wants to be cuddled. She's not actually biting. She's mouthing me, saying, "Pet me, pet me, pet me,
God.
Pet me, hold me, cuddle me, be sweet to me." Don't worry, guys. This does not do any harm to Burb. Trust me. She likes to be cuddled. She loves it.
I want to show off my newest project that I'm working on.
Okay.
This one, I gave a sneak peek on my little corner of the Discord server, and on Facebook and Instagram as well. This one.
I can't wait to see how that finally comes out.
It's harvested shed skin from my snake. And
yeah, I don't think that one should be cheap. That looks like it's...
Yeah, no, this is not going to be cheap. I am probably going to sell it for about $250 at least.
Yeah.
Depending. It's fully encrusted also in black obsidian. It's going to get a red eye and most likely some vine work as well.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like inspired by Lilith, basically, right?
Yes.
I think was, yeah.
Yes.
I don't mean to jump in if that's what you're about to say. All right, you're going to go home.
Yeah.
So you entertain the audience. I'm going to put Burb home.
Oh, don't make me entertain the audience.
Yeah, dance or something. I'll be right back.
I don't dance, you know that. No, but yeah, my ball python has shed his skin, so I decided to use it as one. It is also going to get coated in resin too to protect it. But there's going to be also a mini mirror similar to that. I'll sand some more wood first before I can continue.
I'm still going to be like, I don't have you plugged in so I can hear you, but I'm still going to be like I'm talking to the bird. Like I'm still going to cluck like I'm talking to the bird. Weirdo.
Cluck. Cluck, motherfucker.
It's just easier to cluck sometimes, isn't it?
It is. I love clucking at the birds. They respond to it.
All right, so now, again, I don't mean to, again, if I sound opinionated or something, like I am not here to validate your delusional reality. And when I say that, you might go, oh, he's saying that I'm delusional. No, I'm saying everyone's delusional. Everybody, if you have a non-dual background or a mystical background, you understand what is meant by the idea that everyone's reality is a delusion. And that is not an insult. But one of the things the ego likes to do is defend its delusions, because its delusions validate the ego. The ego is a self-validating habit, guys. It says, I exist, and I know I exist because I'm in conflict. Right? Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose, sometimes I cause, sometimes I get caused. That's egoism. Okay? And it's impossible to function in the mortal frame without referencing the ego. Notice how I'm saying I and me and you and the and all of these things are self-validating. They're reifications of the delusion, and they're inevitably part of language. And as language persists as more than just a means of communication, but as a way to rationalize. So if your thought processes are done with linguistic mentalism, that is language. It doesn't have to just be words, it can be pictures, symbols. So long as your sense of reality is made up of the simulacrum of language, then you're going to have an egoistic delusion that's going to really cause you to, well, it's not going to cause you to do anything, but it is sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a causal thing. It's an enabler. It's an enabler. Okay? So it's an enabler of the delusion, and it persists so long as that happens. That's why empty mind or transcendental meditation is so useful and important. When you can exist without mentalism, that is to say, without blah, blah, blah thoughts going on, whether they're pictures or words, doesn't matter. If you can experience reality without that for even just a few minutes, it is possible, even in those few minutes, to realize that you're not any of that simulacrum. So that doesn't mean the world stops appearing to you. It's just no longer the world when you experience it. You experience something else. It all looks the same, but nothing's the same. Yes, Cassie, we are our own enablers sometimes, and that's not just from the spiritual realm, but all the way down to the material one. We enable ourselves to have this egoistic delusion. And the other thing that I would like to point out is there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's another part of the ego trap to think that you've got to escape the ego trap. It's such a great game because you can sit here and say, well, Thorne's not really that, advanced because he still does it. Look at how advanced I am for pointing that out. That's not how this works. It's not meant to be that way. The person pointing it out is not doing it from a position of that's wrong or bad. When the Buddha describes, the Eightfold Path or that suffering is caused by desire or any of these things, this is not a way to criticize. This is simply a diagnosis. It's a perception. It is not a prescription. It's a perception. I guess it is kind of a prescription, but you know what I'm saying. Yes, the beard actions. I wish I still had it long, but it never. Whenever I grow it long, it doesn't go right. It'll do this cool goat corkscrew thing, which is cool, but I want it to be more like Alan Watts's Fu Manchu type of dealie. Like that's what I want. I want like that.
Very curly.
It's too curly. I'd have to grow it all the way out and then trim it, and then it would look like a sponge that got shaped. Like it wouldn't look the way I want. I'd have to straighten it. So a lot of people, when they hear me talking and I'm sort of not debunking, I don't love that word here for what I'm saying, but when I'm destructing the illusion, they will think I'm being arrogant or attacking them. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you what I believe, and not just what I believe, but what I've experienced, and thus shapes what I believe. Because what I believe is irrelevant. Belief is nothing. Belief is bullshit. Belief is faith. So I'm trying to describe to you what I've experienced and then how I believe I can communicate it to you. So that's the kind of belief I'm talking about. When I say I've experienced it, though, that's a linguistic artifact. I don't mean I, like D.H. Thorne, has experienced it, because D.H. Thorne is absent or not me when it's happening. When I'm having a fully disobjectified meditative experience, I do this the most around bedtime or if I'm suffering at work, we'll say. Like if I'm at work and I'm, like, you can ask my wife, like I'll just go into La La Land while I'm moving pots around. I just, zone out. And while I'm zoning out, I'm actually just sort of in a zone of actually, a lot of times I go into like a non-dual space. Not the whole time. I get snapped in and out of it, especially if I stub my toe. But I am mostly in a space where I am observing the suffering. I am not the suffering. I'm observing the struggle. I'm observing the conflict. I am not the conflict. The non-dual awareness is to realize that you are not the thing. You are you're the silent observer in which all these things happen. That the things that you see happening are not real. They are things that the real is doing. This is all, it sounds like a bunch of language tricks, but it's really not. These language tricks are just the best I can do to try to get your brain to go there. Really, if you want to understand non-dualism and then see how that affects your magical practices, your spiritual pursuits, you really have to understand non-dualism. It's actually very simple. It's actually so simple, it's absurdly challenging to talk about, but it's really simple because all you really have to do, there is a method to it, and I'm getting the method written out, which is a good thing. But the method is very simple. First, the first thing the average person has to do is they have to disobjectify themselves. They have to rationalize away their belief in themselves before they can have a very clear perception. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do that. Yes, you can use psychedelics to do this. You can shut off that part of your brain while still remaining alert that objectifies everything. You can do that. You don't need that, though. You can begin with a de-rationalization process is maybe a better word. You can de-rationalize your belief in yourself. You can de-reify yourself. because you can really examine what you think you are and then actually take that. And when you have completely derationalized all of the things that you arbitrarily believe are you, and whatever you're left with is what you really are. And there are many different methods and linguistic ways to do this. When you examine the nature of what you think you are, if you say, well, I'm this body, well, which one? And someone's gonna say, well, what do you mean by which one? Well, I mean, do you mean the one that's here right now or the one that's here right now? Which one of those two bodies was you? Were you the body from a second ago or the body? Well, obviously they're the same body. Well, no, they're not, my fool. They're not the same body. What do you mean they're not the same body? It's in the same space. Oh, is it? Did the Earth not move a couple thousand miles in the span of time through the universe? Look up how fast the Earth moves through the universe. Did it not change its position? You moved. Oh, well, it's still the same thing because it's still right here. I know it's me because it looks the same. Oh, does it? Was your heart the same? Was your breath the same? Were the atoms in the same positions and arrangements? Did they wiggle at all? No, of course not. They changed. Well, they changed, but they're still the same thing. Are you sure? The oxygen in your lungs was exchanged with the oxygen in your environment. That was also exchanged in your blood. The energy in your system has shifted around. Everything has. So what you're really telling me is that your idea of who you are as a body is really just a decision to say, whatever is in this little bubble that I think of as the shape of my skin is me. But other than that, it's an arbitrary decision. What it really is, it's like taking a circle and moving it through your vision and saying, whatever's within that circle is me. That's your idea of self from the physical perspective. And it's no different from the mental perspective. Who are you right now except the encapsulation of all your thoughts and feelings right now and your memories? But those memories, thoughts, and feelings change moment to moment. So which one is it that's you? None of them are you. You're none of those things. They're all things you're observing. The real you is observing that. The silent observer in Advaita Vedanta, I forget what the language, the word is for it, but it's the silent observer. And that's what you are. You're the divine. The divine is the silent observer. You are that for which there is no description. You are it's not a feminine nor a masculine essence. It is all of it and none of it. It transcends both. Oh, thank you, Nicholas. Nicholas says, I get what you're saying and I appreciate your advice. I understand non-dualism. I have all your books and Damon Eccles. I'm proud. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be unhelpful, Nicholas, by the way. I'm just, when I read a comment like that, right? I have sort of two reactions, right? I have sort of the skeptic's reaction, which I don't mean skeptical in the sense like you're lying to me. I have the skeptic's reaction of, here is a person who is identifying with the objective delusion so much that the thing that they're experiencing becomes reified and becomes a problem. Whereas for me, it would just be simply, well, that's a really weird feeling. That's really cool. I wonder if that's being inspired by the spirit. Huh. And it wouldn't trouble me, right? It would be something that I would recognize as something that the divine is in that moment doing. And it's meant to be symbolic of something. What is it symbolic of? I don't know, because I'm not in your shoes right now. But it's symbolic of something. If there's something that your shadow is trying to tell you, and maybe it's using those feelings for that purpose. So how do you deal with it? Well, do you really want it to stop? Are you sure? Are you sure that if they suddenly stopped, you'd be as happy? Let me be brutally honest with you. Would you really, really, really be happy if it stopped? You'd still be telling the story, wouldn't you? You'd still be telling people like, well, I had this weird thing happen. So it's still a part of you. You just don't want to be what? Subjected to it. Well, you don't have to be. People go, well, there's Thorne, there's things that I can't help but be subjective to. Like if somebody like punches me in the face, I'm subjected to that. I can't get it. Of course you can. You're not being punched in the face. Your body's getting punched in the face, but you don't have a body or a face. You're both sides of that punch. You're the fist and the face, if you understand what's really going on. There is no one there to get punched in the face. Oh, well, Thorne, that sounds great, but if I punch you in the face, you complain. My body would complain. Maybe it wouldn't, though. It's hard to say for sure. I've been punched in the face a bunch of times. I don't usually complain from that. It might piss me off a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that the silent observer, the quiet observer is what you are. So even if you're feeling these things happening, maybe they're 100% real in your in your frame of reference, right? So I'm not saying it's not happening. What I'm saying is what you're experiencing is subjective in the sense that you have total control, right? You're creating it. Why are you manifesting it? It's different because I could just be like, oh, well, sprinkle yourself with salt, turn 3 times in a full moon and say, I am whole and cannot be defeated. And for some people that would be more than enough. And that would be the answer. And they would be cured and the spooky weird thing would stop happening. But nothing that I just said would do anything because they're just words. None of those things mean anything. They're just symbols. Salt is a purifying agent, by the way. Turning around 3 times, especially if you go counterclockwise, is a great way to get rid of things. Doing it in a full moon, and under the light of a full moon, is a purifying moon for emotional purity. Would reveal to you whatever emotions are hiding. So that's symbolic of what? Of just different things you could do to remind yourself that you're in control. Because ultimately you don't have to do any of that because the inspiration or the essence or the seed of doing that is enough. The action is just a way to validate it. It's just a way to egoistically manifest it. The intention is what did it. And by intention, I mean the divine will. The will to do it, it's inevitable. So you don't need to do the action. The action's unnecessary. So it's this is kind of like why I can be a little unhelpful, because to me it's kind of like, I don't want to feed you more delusions to cure you of your delusions too much. I do it anyway, but I try not to. It's not that I don't have an answer. It's just that I don't think that's the helpful answer. If I teach a person to fish or hand them a fish, which is better? If I gave you a ritual to do to make those feelings stop, would that be better for you? Or would it be better for you? Like, you might think I'm teaching you because you think that I'm teaching you how to fix this problem, but it won't work on all problems because it's not meant to. It's not how it works. If I give you a solution that says, here's how you get rid of that feeling, did I actually help you get rid of that feeling, or did I just help you wipe it away this one time? So I'm trying to teach you the underlying metaphysic. I'm trying to teach you the underlying reality so that you no longer get fooled by the delusion. And next time you can much more easily roll with it and see it as a sign and a message instead. So maybe I should give you baby steps. Maybe instead of saying it's not real, don't worry about it, which is, I guess, kind of what it sounds like I'm saying, I'm going to tell you instead, look at it like a message. What is this message? Why are you telling yourself this? Why is your higher self, shall we say? Let's bring it down to the superstitious. Why is your higher self giving you this message? Why are you manifesting this delusion? What is it that you're trying to do? What is it that you're trying to tell yourself? What is it your friend's trying to tell you by participating in that with you? So that's kind of all I'm getting at is don't reify. Try to look behind the illusion. And it's not easy to do. It's not. If it was that easy, trust me, people wouldn't ask questions. Das falsch. I like that. Das falsch. That's false. I think that's is that what it means? I don't know what it means. I don't speak German. Miss DH has a shop like my sister. She makes Victorian jewelry. Ooh. Das falsch. Send that to me or Miss DH on something, because that sounds interesting. I'd like to see it.
Interesting. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that for a minute. I'd like to see that because we like antiques, and Victorian era stuff is cool as fuck. Don't set the house on fire now.
Oh, you know me.
See all the elements that go into the creation, guys? Look at that. You got wood, you got snake, you got actual rocks. I'm surprised that you've never made a rock explode by doing that.
I don't hold the heat on for long enough.
Right?
It's just to pop the bubbles.
Oh, is that all it does?
Yeah.
Ah,
yeah,
I thought that was cute.
It's to get the bubbles out.
Does it cure it at all, or is it just to make
you know, go? I'm not really sure about if it cures it or not.
Why don't you just use like a fan or something, or a...
This is quicker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it kind of bubbles them out of it.
So the heat helps bubble them out, but you don't need that much heat. I go, why don't you use a hairdryer? I'm just being a pain.
You are being a pain. That's okay, though. I do want to showcase another little thing before I coat them in another coat of resin. These right here, very much like the micro mirrors I've produced, these are going to be sigil holders.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like
I would really appreciate, actually, if you, like, maybe I'd like to have one that I can, like, put the sigil in and out of, like, to, like, change sigils for it.
Yeah, that's what these are going to do.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd like to have one, like, custom made for me.
Oh, yeah.
So I can use them in ritual, because I don't have one like that, and I really want one. That sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah, so basically what it is it's like a little picture frame, but it comes with, like, a kit. It's going to have some sheets of black, high-quality paper and white gel pens, and you know, it has like a picture frame backing with.
You're dripping resin, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's fine. A little picture frame backing so that you could easily replace the sigils. You know, take them out and burn them at the end of the ritual when you're done with them.
Yep.
You know, but it's a more decorative way to showcase them during your ritual.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I want one now. Like, I'm sold.
Absolutely.
Because one of the things that always happens to me is like, well, you know, when I'm using, especially when I'm using them, I like to prop them at like a 45-degree angle on something if I can. So if you could put them with like a way to prop it like that would be really cool.
I have some little plastic picture frame holders.
If you get, yeah, if you get them so
plates kind of thing.
That would be a good idea. Like, especially if you could set it to a certain angle a little bit. That would be, even if you just get close.
It's like a one angle thing. Mm-hmm. It's not really able to be moved like that.
Okay. But, well, whatever it is, it'll be fine. It's just, It sounds like a really cool idea. And then, yeah, but something like, because I'm often sitting there in ritual and I got like the little piece of cardboard or whatever, you know, nice paper that I'm using. It'd be really nice to be able to like really mount it and like really, really display it nicely during the ritual and then take it out and use it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. They're also adorned with the black obsidian.
Oh, see, Cassie just explained it to me. She says, heat pops the bubbles, but a hairdryer would move the beads around. I use lighters. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So at one point I did try like a heat gun, but it's just not as good.
Scarlett says she's got to run. Goodbye, Scarlett. Good to see you. I hope your client has fun with you. Have a great day to you. Scarlett's pretty cool. She's a nice lady.
She is. She's awesome.
I've never really like had any interaction with her husband, but I think her husband's supposed to be like kind of famous or something. I don't know, but she's a really nice lady. Yeah, I've never had a bad time with Scarlett. She's always been sweet to me.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. So, all right, let's go to some questions. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. Any kind of question you got, and I'll try to be more helpful than maybe I was to Nicholas. I think I was helpful to Nicholas, but some people might listen to that and be like, well, that wasn't really much of an answer. It was. It's just that answer is difficult because something like that, especially if I don't experience it, you know, it's got to be something that I've got to sort of cut through the delusions to really help you, and that's hard to do. Yes, Cassie, the link for the shop, if you look at the top of the chat or in the description of the video, you'll see my Linktree link. If you click that, there's one that goes to my specific Etsy, not the one for Limitless Liberations. That's my associate, Elena Lemmy. But if you look at ours, I forget which link it is. Let me click it and find out. So if there should be a pinned comment in the chat, and if you go there, let's see, buy my books, Teespring, Twitter. There it is, Etsy at Mind the Shadows. So if you click Etsy at Mind the Shadows, you'll get a link to that. I don't think the shop is chock full right now. I think there's just a few things left.
Yeah, it's kind of bare bones right now.
Yeah, because you put them out like 10 at a time, 12 at a time, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Because they go pretty quick sometimes.
I kind of wait for a lot of them to sell before I produce more.
Yeah.
Because I don't have room to stock a lot. I mean, right now, I'm sure you could see these boxes. That's my stock right now.
Ajna says, hey, DH, what was your face like before your parents met? A beautiful Zen question. I love that question. What was your face like before your parents met? My face is unchanging. It has been this way forever, and it shall be this way forever. I've never seen my face, because my face looks out, not in.
I do have 2 more I can show. These are just about done, just waiting on the black lucite to go in them.
That's got like a cool Victorian kind of thing.
This is... the camera's got me screwed up left and right. This is another mirror of the Crow Witch. You can see the crow in the top corner. It's kind of hard to get in.
It looks like something that like a roaring 20s movie starlet would like have for her vanity mirror.
Yeah. And there's a mini one that kind of matches. Same design. So they'll be up shortly.
Up from the Cauldron Witch is here. She wants to see Kamila's masterpiece for me. She wasn't here before. Hold it up again.
It's wet right now.
Kind of like my butt in a hot day.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. This is painted so far. Painted. It's more purple in person.
Yeah.
Like I told you privately, cameras do not do colors justice.
I can confirm that it's definitely more towards purple than it is blue when you see it in person. Definitely. You want to show Cauldron? Is show her the snaky one you're working on. You might have to move the camera a little bit though, because I know it's stuck to the table right now, so it's kind of hard to see.
It's covered in resin right now, but here it is.
That's going to be so awesome. I may not let you sell that one. I may want to keep that.
You know how many of these? It's like I've said many times. It's like sending my children out into the world.
Oh my God! You know what I just thought would be fucking awesome? Do that one, but with like red paint under the skin, so it makes it red.
You know, I did see a comment from Scarlett that she mentioned throw some purple on there.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
So,
yeah, make sure it's under it so it shows through.
Yeah.
That would probably be better.
I'm gonna experiment with more colors and the snakeskin, definitely. Mm-hmm. I have plenty of snakeskin to go around.
And around and around and around. By the way, you're offset right now. Not that it's a big problem. I'm sure people enjoy. They don't care. I'm just telling you in case you want to be centered. There you go.
There we are.
That's good enough.
I'm back.
You're back. They can see the boxes. That's cool. Show everybody the boxes. Show everybody our bicycles, our bicicletas.
Our bicicletas. Okay, You
don't have to. I'm being funny.
Oh, there's our bikes.
Those are e-bikes. Yeah.
Yeah, there they are.
Swamp butt. That's right, Cassie. Swamp butt.
I don't think I have any of my UV lights out here with me, so they're not going to glow. But these are some of the other things.
Now imagine that eye on that Lilith one. Yeah, see, that's cool.
We got plenty of the freaking camera's screwing me up. Okay. Yes.
So imagine something like that on the Lilith one.
Yes.
That would be pretty cool.
I'm actually going to put a small oval on it.
Small.
And the micro mirrors. This is one of the micro mirrors. Tiny, portable, take it on a plane with you. Conjure something up in a hotel room. Take it.
Yeah, it's like a little compact. It's like a compact for contacting the devil.
I'm gonna put it on your keychain.
The devil's contact mirror.
That's right. I actually entertained the idea of making earrings out of little scraps.
It's not
little triangle earrings.
I didn't know. Yeah. So what do you guys want us to talk about? Because we're probably only going to be on for a little bit longer today because she's got work to do and I got stuff to do. But I don't mind sticking around if we got some fun stuff to talk about. But oh yeah, I love those. The classic style.
The classic. Trinity.
The classic. Eye. Yeah, those are just.
Goes
so
any
cool.
direction, up, down.
I like them with point down. Up. It just something about having a point down just looks epic to me.
There's a hanger on every corner.
Looks very Lovecraftian when it's point down. Yeah. It's got that weird feeling to it.
You know, I gotta get my tentacles underway. I had
That's what he said.
I had some mirrors with tentacles, but the clay was too crappy, so I was trying to do some resin work with them, and it just didn't pan out over the past year. So I got to really figure that out because they were really cool. They had gears on them. It was like Kronos or Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep, however you say.
Nyarlathotep. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Well, the reason I say Nyarlathotep Hotep is because
That's it. I like that better.
Hotep is like another word that's sort of crammed onto it. You know, I think it means shit. What does it mean? Peace, at peace, something like that. I forgot. Someone knows. I forgot. My linguistics suck. No one knows what Nyarlathotep's supposed to mean. It's just sort of something that was made up by Lovecraft. So it's really two words, Nyarlathotep Hotep, but it's put together. It's not Nyarlathotep. It's Nyarlathotep Hotep.
Yeah.
You really should pronounce the T and the H, I believe, separate. I have to. Maybe we could get somebody who speaks Egyptian around here to really tell us, like actual, like, you know, how think of like, you know, the different Egyptian kings with Hotep on it. You say the Hotep separate.
I mean,
right?
I hate to say it, but saying it the other way just sounds so dingusy.
It really sounds like, yeah, it sounds like something like when they say like the Celtics instead of like Celtic.
Yeah.
You know, I speak good Italian. You know, it sounds like somebody from like Tennessee trying to speak Italian. It just sounds wrong. Nyarlathotep. Come on, Nyarlathotep.
Especially when you're trying to like get into the mood and you're going through a ritual and that's what comes out your mouth. It's just like, no.
Come to me, Nyarlathotep.
It breaks immersion.
Well, it's kind of like Cthulhu, right? So, like, we're not supposed to be able to pronounce Cthulhu. Cthulhu is like it's supposed to actually be like, it's supposed to be like an octopus is saying it. So when we say Cthulhu or Cthulhu, it's not supposed to be Cthulhu. It's supposed to be like Cthulhu. Cthulhu. It's supposed to be like some kind of a...
Almost like a sneeze coming out.
Well, or like you're clearing your throat. Cthulhu. It's supposed to be like... Cthulhu. It's not supposed to be anything humans can pronounce, so it comes out. Yeah, so... Neothotep. That sounds pretty cool too. Neothotep. I think it is supposed to be Nyarlathotep Hotep though. Nyarlathotep Hotep. You're supposed to have a little bit of inflection between it. That's how I do it. Oh, thank you, Cassie. Don't put me on a pedestal though. I have this weird habit of when people like me, I always find a way to piss them off. I do it on purpose, by the way.
You gotta weed them out.
Yeah, I gotta weed them out. Well, you know what it is that I have very, very not just strong opinions. I have very, you know, firm opinions on certain things. And, you know, there's certain things that people will love me for one thing and hate me for another. And I don't like belonging to people. I like to belong to myself. So when people say something nice about me, I'm always a little wary because then I'm like, so when somebody gets put on a pedestal, it's like everybody's saying they own them, like without meaning to. They're not doing it on purpose. But the reason I say this is because if you step out of line a little bit, then they get offended with you. Like, the real me has always been here. Don't put me on a pedestal. Assume that I'm flawed. Assume that I'm going to fuck up. Assume that I'm going to do something that will piss you off. If you can be okay with that, we'll be cool. If not, you're under no obligation to love me, just like I'm under no obligation to love you. So, I don't know why I say all that. I think it's because, you know, as a public-facing figure, people will get offended when you don't fit their ideals. I think that's what it is. You know, if you're walking around and someone's different than you, you just kind of walk away. But somehow being a public-facing figure, people expect you to be a certain way. I don't know why. I guess it's, you know, they think they own you a little bit. Gage the Mage. Wyatt Coverdale says to Gage, I had a vision of Lucifer putting his hand between two slices of bread and calling himself a sandwich. I don't know if that's a Lucifer thing to do, but that is absolutely, I love that kind of shit because that really helps. That whole, is this a sandwich or is it something else thing? It's actually, as goofy as that is, it's actually a really good example of what we do to reify reality in the way that we do that's really wrong. Like, is a hot dog a kind of sandwich, you know, when it's on bread? Of course it is, but other people would say it's not. Would people say, you know, oh, give me like a taco. Like, is that a sandwich? Well, yeah, kind of. It's a you know, starchy, bready product with stuff in the middle. It's kind of like a sandwich. What makes a sandwich a sandwich? What about soup? Is that a kind of cereal or is a cereal a kind of soup? You know, well, I guess you could say soup's not a cereal unless it's got something with wheat in it. Then it becomes more of a cereal because cereal means a grain product. But cereal with milk in it.
The soup is cold.
Well, then it's a cold soup, though. You know, soup doesn't have to be hot.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't hear you right. Broke off a little bit.
No, that's what I'm saying. If soup is hot, I don't consider it a cereal regardless.
Cassie says, are you an INFJ too? I forget. I did it recently, not too long ago. It's somewhere on Discord, I bet you, if I look it up. I don't remember. I might be an INFJ. I would say that I am very outgoing, but I am also very, 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 very not. Like, I crave social time, but I absolutely have to be alone sometimes. In fact, a lot of the time. So I'm sort of, I'm an introverted extrovert, if that makes sense. I have no problem being myself. I'm very outgoing. I can talk to anybody, but I also like to not do that. I also like to not necessarily, I like to go to the bar and watch people. And then if people come talk to me, I'm good at it, but I'm not going to go dance in the spotlight. Nope.
I remember that quiz. I believe I was INTJ.
I think it was either INTJ or INFJ myself. And I wasn't an E. I don't think it was an ENFJ.
There was another letter after it. I think it was A. There was a 5-letter one.
Yeah. Let me see. I can maybe find it on Discord. I'm not sure. F. Let's just do INF. Let's see.
I like that. Cereal can be a dessert soup. That's the truth right there.
A dessert soup?
Yes.
Like oh, well, I found somebody else's. It must be because I put mine and then it came up. So let's see if I can scroll. I can find mine. Oh, there I am bragging about my IQ again. Like a dick. The main reason I bring that up is mainly because it helps me to try to explain what it's like to try to relate to people. Like when you have an IQ over like 130 or 140, relating to the average person is harder. Just like for the average person, it's harder to relate to somebody who is much smarter, or I shouldn't say smarter. I don't like the word smarter. Someone who's higher IQ or very low. So someone with like a 70 IQ versus somebody with 100. It's a similar offset. Can you really screw you up? Anyway, on this one test, apparently I was an INFP, not J. So I think that's what it said. Let me just keep going.
It also sometimes changes on the mood of the day.
I think it does. I think that some things don't change, though. I think, like, you might get one letter will change here and there, but for the most part, you'll stick. Yeah, someone posted that's what it was. Somebody posted a chart of all of them, and I pretended to take the test. I said, mine just said asshole. Why is that? Mine was just asshole. I'm none of them. Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't remember. I know I took it. I do feel like it was either INF. Yeah. Shit. You got me all like hugging this question now. Let me scroll. Here, keep everybody entertained while I look. Do some dance around a little bit.
Entertaining. All right. I you know me and entertaining. I'm not that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. Well, at least you didn't leave me all alone here.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'll have to take it again. You know, the other thing is I'm sure there's different interpretations of all of this crap too. Like depending upon who you like, where you're checking it, it could be something different. But I don't know. Like I've gotten it. I'm usually like IN something. Like it's usually IN something. That doesn't change much for me. But it can be, you know, depending upon the one, INFJ, INF, you know, and whatever the hell I said before. So I'll have to do it again at some point just to see. I think you can move around a little bit. Yeah, all right, well, we'll just go with it. I don't know, except for what I said. I don't know. Take it or leave it for now. Take it or leave it for now. Okay, let's go back to the chat and see what people are saying. People are probably like, oh my god, Thorne's a cool asshole. Like, oh, wow, fucking shitbag, fucker. Go eat some fucking cereal soup, dick. Milk soup. Milk soup. Let's see. That's where I think I left off was milk soup.
Milk soup, yeah.
I think that's the last thing I
Doctor
saw.
had the comment about cereal being the dessert the dessert
Oh, yes.
soup.
Is cereal? Is it cereal when it's tomato soup with crackers? Ooh, good, Cassie. Good question.
I'd say yes.
Wyatt Coverdale with the Ugandan knuckles. Do you know the way? Well, the queen is right here. Do you know the way? She is the queen.
That is a throwback.
That is a throwback. I missed that throwback though. That was some funny shit.
Me too.
I used to love watching those. What was it? The 3D, the VR chat, you know, stuff of that, and then,
Yeah.
Do you know the way? Following everybody around, pissing everybody off. That was great.
You know, it was really funny too when our son was in school and they were using that that math program. I forget what the hell it was called. The teacher got mad because they used the wrong names for it. They didn't use their own names. That's not funny. That's so racist.
Orthodox Southpaw, my good bunny over there, says, how was your first recent e-bike ride? Oh, dude, it was awesome. That's actually the cover photo for this chat is when we went to ComSet. That was fucking great.
It was a nice day.
That was fucking great.
Much.
You can't tell in that picture, but we were like, I don't know, what would you say, like almost like 60 feet, 100 feet up
Something like
on the
that.
cliff. Like that's a high cliff. If you fall down that, you probably won't die if you're careful. You'll roll a little ways. Like you could probably like hold on to the cliff and not die, but there's a good chance you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt, and then you have to walk all the way around and back up.
Yeah, there'd be no way
Hit
back
your
up because
bike.
it's a crumbling cliff. So like
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, that cliff had a fence there, and you could lean up against the fence, like hang off it. And now the fence is gone, and it eroded backwards away. It's like it just eroded away, and so now it's like it's just a dangerous overlook now. I'm surprised they haven't like blocked it off somehow, because you could easily, if you stomp on the edge hard enough, there's a good chance you can make a piece of it crumble, and then you'd be in trouble. But that place is gorgeous. I love anybody. If you're on Long Island, go to ComSet. ComSet is fucking awesome. I would go to ComSet.
It's only $8 to park.
It's only $8. You know, and that's somebody. Who was it? Somebody had just recently, and I meant to. I don't know if I responded to them. I hope I did, but I might not have because I get sidetracked and I hate people and I love them at the same time. Oh yeah, someone did. Yeah, Siege. Siege offered if I do the in relay hangout, he wants to help out. So I'm gonna message him at some point because I want to do that. I want to set it up. Let's start deciding now. Like I want to start asking questions on the Discord and start setting up. Like what works for you, honey? When would you want to do a meetup with everybody? If we could do a community meetup and like 2 people show up and we act like it's a big deal, where and when would you want to do it?
Well, you know my summer schedule. I'm free.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm asking you what you think though.
I
what
don't
would you
know.
like?
I'm cool with anything. You know me.
Mid to end of September, maybe like the magical time of the summer.
Not mid-September because we have that concert.
Oh right. Okay. Well, we can do it. It
That
doesn't matter.
hopefully our son will be home for.
Well, that won't matter. We could just do it not on that day. That's all.
Yeah, no, but if our kid is home, I'd like to spend it with him.
One of the most magical times a year for me is the end of August and early September. That and of course the Halloween season. Like the two are my favorite. Early spring, like not early spring, but like early summer and late spring is also my favorite. Like Memorial Day time frame, like right now. Once you hit like July, I'm not loving it as much, but
September is when it really cools off too.
yeah, when it starts to cool off, like at night. So what I like about August is in the daytime, you know, it can be shorts sometimes, but you can get away with like, you know, jeans and a t-shirt, right? And then at night you can put on like a sweater, maybe like a light sweater or something. I love that because that's my favorite level of clothing. Like I don't like too much and I don't like too little. So did we do Cassie wants to know if we did the Titanic scene. No, we did. Although it kind of looks like it though. If you look at the picture, it kind of is because she's holding the camera like this and I'm behind her, so I guess it kind of looks like it. So I think we're going to aim for, to be announced specifically, but we're going to aim for sometime between the end of August to the beginning or middle of September, probably, maybe even October. So
October 1st is a Saturday this year.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, because even Halloween would be cool. But the problem with Halloween is I don't know. Halloween can be overplayed, so I kind of want to do it in that harvest time period. Of course, we might all be like starving then because, you know, all the crap going on. But, just a show of hands, how many people are on the East Coast enough that if we did something in New York City or Philadelphia or in that ballpark, people would show up? Like, show of hands, how many people are close enough that if you had a couple of weeks notice or a month's notice, you might be willing to show up? And if that's like, let me get a show of hands just from the chat, which won't be much because we got only like 26 people today, but we'll see if we get a show of hands. How many people are East Coast enough that they would show up?
And if anyone's watching later on, put it down in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments too, or join the Discord.
This is a Thursday, a work day for most people.
You know what I think I'll do after we get off the stream? Maybe I'll talk it over with Fleshy soon because I haven't really hung out with Fleshy in a week or two. I'll have to hang out with him because he wants to come out for a visit. So maybe he and I will get together and we'll starting to plan it, and we'll make a Discord channel just for that. So we'll figure it out.
It'll get sorted.
Yeah. Oh, Orthodox Southpaw said he'd fly in. Careful, man. Those fucking flight fuel costs are like ridiculous right now, but I would appreciate it, dude. You're a really cool guy. I'd love to meet you. We had some fun conversations. That'd be really cool. We'd have to figure out like where though, because you know you can rent little meeting spaces. Like you can rent like not even party halls. Like if you look up, you know, space rentals or whatever for get-togethers, you can go as low as like $30-$40. You know, and like it goes up from there. And I forget if that's hourly or nightly, but even if it's hourly, like even if it's like 20 or 30 bucks an hour, like what are we going to be together? Like 8 hours for a hangout type of thing. And then we could always terrorize the town and go to bars and shit, you know, like so.
Well, you know, it's always fun scaring the straights.
Yeah, that's true. And the not so straights. Scare everybody. How's that thing? How, you know, remember the only thing cooler than guys who get chicks are guys who scare chicks. The Beavis and Butthead thing. Yeah, Cassie, there is. It's in the link tree along with the Etsy. If you go to the link tree again, there's a Discord link. You'll have to answer the question, but all are welcome who are cool. From the Cauldron, which says, do a world tour and come west. I mean, we're trying to save up for a house. I don't think we're ever going to get one the way things are going. And we're not even going for an expensive one. We literally will be happy with a cabin in the woods. Actually, just like in Jurassic Park, remember when they were in that cabin? I was looking at that like, oh, that would be perfect. Oh my God. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a fucking...
Just running water and heat. That's all I need.
Yeah, hot water, heat, you know...
Maybe a little workspace.
And Starlink, that's it. Give me all that, and I'm good. And so I can sell my products online and give me a part-time job. I don't care if I'm stocking shelves at the supermarket part-time. I really don't give a shit. Part-time job, and then what I do here, and what we can do on Etsy, and whatever she can do. As long as we can pay the bills, I don't need much. I don't need a regular house. I really don't.
That's why I love my summer schedule. I work 4 days a week, and I make things. Well,
Orthodox Southpaw brings up the Haunted Insane Asylum. If I was really having my druthers, I mean, we could do it on Long Island itself, and we could actually make a tour of like the mystical sites that I know of.
Yeah.
You know, we could go to the Kings Park Asylum, which is fucking amazing. If you guys don't know, Google Kings Park Asylum right now. If you guys want to see the coolest fucking place in the world, look up Kings Park Asylum.
You know,
getting in there is a little tough though, because it's starting to get like really falling down. I don't even know if people go in that much. I know people try, so I don't know. That's Jane's Hill. What? Sorry, honey.
That's one thing that's so unfortunate. Every other city and state, if they have something historical, they'll turn it into a freaking tourist thing.
Yep.
They should have upkept that.
They could have at least made it a tourist trap.
They could have made it something if they kept it.
Well, I like that they made it an urban ruin. The problem is that, you know, things like that, they get weird about, and then they don't let you in them, and you know, people were doing urban explorations, but then floors were falling down, like hole in, you know, like there's holes and stuff. You could get hurt going in there. But
and from what I heard, some of the stairways are a little iffy.
Yeah, because it's been really in disrepair for a long time.
Disrepair and gutted. I mean, people go in there and they took all the copper piping and everything, and you know what goes along with that, a lot of ruin.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool, but there's also Jane's Hill, which isn't much of a sight to see anymore, but it's the site of a very, very powerful vortex.
Yeah.
In the area, it's one of the few. You know, it's well known for, if you look up Jane's Hill, Jayne, and Mount Misery, okay, if you look those up, that's where like the most spooky shit I've ever experienced was happening in those spots. You got the cemetery that like overlooked where I was born. You got like all these cool spaces.
Well, we got the cemetery where Peter Steele's buried too.
Where's that?
Wasn't that out in Farmingdale?
Oh, maybe. I've never been there. I don't know. I have to look that up.
I remember hearing that. I never did the research, so I don't know for sure.
Yeah, maybe. Let me see. Yeah, Farmingdale. Holy shit. St. Charles Resurrection Cemetery is East Farmingdale. Well, I sense a road trip that'll take 5 minutes. That'd be fun.
Yeah, let's do it. Today. Let's go. Right now. Road trip. We'll take the crew with us.
Yeah, from the caller which says, wait till the market crashes. But that's kind of that's probably what's going to end up happening. That's probably what we're going to end up doing, honestly, because, you know, we had decent savings and then 2020 hit and we were fine through 2020. Actually, we actually made decent money.
We did really good in 2020.
Yeah, we were like really holy shit, we might be able to pull this off. And then 21 hit, and then all these like different expenses came home. You know, nothing horrible, just computer died, bought a new computer, little stuff like that, and it just added up. What else did we do?
We were paying off debts.
Well, that was already done, but I don't know, maybe yours, but
no,
mine are already done. I don't have debts. I don't believe in debt. If you check me out, like I had a problem with debt like 20 years ago, and I will never have a problem with that again. Like I learned my lesson. Don't even fucking use credit. Like if you can, I mean, if you have to buy a car, that's one thing, but like fuck credit cards. If I use a credit card, I put like 20, you know, I'll buy something real quick and then I'll pay it off quick. And I just keep it running. I keep my credit high. My credit score is high as fuck because I can't stand credit. I hate it. But not revolving credit. Like I don't like that shit. But yeah, so buying something would be cool, but we had a lot more saved up, and now like that's basically cut in half, which sucks because like we're kind of like, you know, we went from like looking at like $150,000 houses because we don't want a big monthly mortgage to like now we're down to like 50 to 90, you know, and it kind of limits you, which I don't mind because that's where a lot of the cabins are, is that price range. But yeah, Cauldron says 2020 was good. Last year was yuck, but this year is repeat. I think this year is going to be so much worse. So much worse. You know, I think it's going to potentially get really bad. Like just, I'm not saying it will get bad. I'm predicting it's very likely to get very bad. You know, we're going into, if not already, a big recession. Look at crypto. Now, people are panicking. I'm not giving you financial advice, disclaimer, but crypto, it's crashing right now. But the big whales, the people that really have a lot at stake are still holding on to it. So I'm not getting rid of mine. I'm going to hold on to that crypto. I might even buy the dip. So I'm not gonna be afraid. Just gonna hang on to it. And if that ends up being an idiot tax, oh well, no big deal. Political question. If we are conservative about the economy, what will pay for hospitals? Hospitals are, you know, in this country, we had a really good healthcare system that economically worked fine. Then you started to have a combination of hyper-regulation and litigation. Those two things started to create an industry which raised the costs astronomically. It went from, you know, hospitals would charge a fair amount. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but hospitals would charge a fair amount, and they would also give, you know, like pro bono, like a lawyer does. They wouldn't turn people away. There was laws, I guess they're still in the books. You can't turn people away because they can't pay, right? You have to try to work out a payment plan or something. Well, this turned into, you know, litigation, liability, and all of this stuff. And as the lawsuits started flying, as people started making money on lawsuits, doctors weren't safe anymore. Like they needed more money. They had to pay for their own insurance. So really, it's the insurance industry that fucked us.
Yep.
More than anything else, my impression is it's the insurance industry. It's not yes, the hospitals are to blame too. Don't get me wrong, but it's the insurance industry that really fucked it, right? And in the process of doing that, This created a system that had to be regulated, and whenever the government starts regulating things, it tends to turn everything into shit because the people who write the regulations are the people who should be regulated. Take a look at any other industry, big pharma, big agriculture, big tech, everybody who writes the regulations, or when I say they write the regulations, sometimes it's literally true, but what it really means is they lobby for the regulations that serve them best. So they'll lobby to get the regulations they want. They will almost always benefit them and then screw the little guys that are the competition. So if you take the agricultural industry, for example, it's a really good example. It's an easy one. If you're a small-time family farmer and you do something wrong, you're subject to the same regulations that the big guys are. To punish the big guys, it's a huge fine. But to them, it's a slap on the wrist. If a big factory farm has to pay $1 million fine for fucking up with a cow thing, right, for doing something wrong, to them, yeah, it hurts their bottom line, but it's a slap on the wrist to a big factory farm. If you hit a family farm with that $1 million fine, they're bankrupt,
Yep.
right? So this tends to pressure everybody into that factory farm system, which means it's all corporatized. Guess what happens? All those regulations end up having no meaning because they don't care. They wrote regulations that are predatory against the little guy. Well, the same thing happens with all these different industries, including the healthcare system. So you end up with a really fucked up situation where we have a situation where people want to naturally help that problem because it is a problem, but it's a self-created problem. Look up the Hegelian dialectic. This is how the bastards in control have been fucking us forever. They create a problem because they already have a solution in mind, and that solution is always more power for them. This is why I did a video a while ago, The Secret Meaning of the Pied Piper, I think was the name of it. And it was, a retelling of the Pied Piper with one added detail. So everybody who here knows the story of the Pied Piper, right? The Pied Piper is a story of this village called Hamlet that gets a whole bunch of rats in it. The rats overrun the town. Everybody freaks out, and they're trying to get rid of them. And they hear about this guy, the Pied Piper, who will take care of the rat problem. So they offer to pay the rat catcher, a significant amount of money. He agrees, gets rid of all the rats, and then they don't pay. Well, they don't pay, so then he gets his revenge on them. In one version of the myth, he takes the children away. And he takes the children away into slavery, he takes them into a mountain or sells them or whatever. There's different versions of it. So again, here's the plot line. Rats invade town. Town freaks out. Town pays rat catcher. Rat catcher doesn't get paid because the town's really cheesy and cheap. And then the rat catcher runs away with all the children or whatever he takes from them, okay? Well, let's add another detail. What if we're talking about a guy who can lure and control rats with the sound of a flute? So who's to say that this motherfucker wasn't the one who brought the rats into the town in the first place? So he brings the rats into the town. Now the town freaks out because there's rats everywhere. He knows that the bastards aren't going to pay him because his price is too high. So he extracts what he really wanted the whole time was more slaves, which was children. That's the Hegelian dialectic in a mythological explanation. In your everyday life, this looks like 9/11 happens, so we have to have Patriot Act and touching your kids at the airport to make sure they don't have bombs strapped to their nuts, even though that never, it's never been a problem before. It turns into a gross exaggeration of the police state. That was always their plan. Whether they caused 9/11 or not is irrelevant. They capitalized on it. That's the Hegelian dialectic. They always had a major solution in mind. Now, Wyatt says, I see the Hegelian dialectic, I know about it's vile. Actually, the Hegelian dialectic can be used for good. That it's actually, if you do this in mysticism, I think Buddhists call it umpaya. It's considered skillful method, right? So you create a crisis for somebody in a mystical sense. You create a situation where they've got nowhere to go except to think about their reality of who they are, right? So you engage them in questions which put them in a kind of crisis so that the only solution is to see the truth. You're not deceiving them at all. You're actually removing their delusions by way of hitting them with disobjectification, right? Through language and meditation and things. So you're actually sort of tricking them into waking up. That's a form of Hegelian dialectic too. So it's not always negative. I guess when it's negative, we would call it the Hegelian dialectic. When a good guy does it, it's a wise thing to do. Think of it kind of like if you've got a young kid, right? and think of something that they wouldn't want to do. So you might, for example, create a problem for them that can only be solved by doing the chore that they're supposed to do. A really clumsy version would be if you don't clean your room, you get punished. Okay, well, what if you set it up from the beginning of their lifetime that they can only enjoy their video games if they do their chores? It's not a punishment, it's a reward, it's an earned thing. Well, that's a kind of Hegelian dialectic. They've got a crisis, they can't play the video game, so you got to take it away until they, this is part of it, okay? So what makes it bad is the level of, is it something being done deceptively? Okay, that's not necessarily bad, but if it is deceptive, is it to deprive them of their own freedom and rights? If so, then now it's bad. If it is to awaken them somehow, or to train them or teach them into a behavior that benefits them, then it's a good thing. So, yeah, don't get me started on that summer blend. And everybody's talking about like, oh, well, they're Biden's releasing gas like he did a few months ago, releasing gas from the reserves. You guys don't realize, but the reserve gas is garbage. Like that, that is the garbage that is meant for emergencies, for dirty ass fucking military vehicles. It's really what it's for. It's for the military. So it's not meant to be high octane, clean shit. It doesn't actually help. It's like, it's almost, yeah, it lowers the cost of gas, but it's the lowest quality gas. So you're going to be driving around with a banging engine, basically. You're going to have knocking, and it's just bad for you. It's not good for your car. I mean, they clean it up, they make it work, but it's like, it's not a help. It's not a help. And if we get attacked, we don't have that fucking reserve anymore. So. Yeah. So, I mean, the monstrosity is self-caused. It really is. You know, when they're trying to blame Russia and blame this and that, you can blame everybody, right? That doesn't mean it is everybody. So. Wyatt says, puts a massive halt on my live in a van idea. Well, you don't have to drive the van. You just want to live in it, right? The thing is like people think like these tiny homes and these vans are cheaper. They're actually, they might be cheaper in one direction, but they're less efficient in the other. So you're not actually doing as well as you think. It's sort of like having a motorcycle versus a car. So if you own a motorcycle, you're like, oh, it only cost me like $20 to fill it up because it's only got 3 gallons and it goes this far. But pound for pound, the car is more efficient than the motorcycle. It's just that the motorcycle is so lighter that it takes up less gas. So you don't, you feel like it's better. Yes, you get more mileage out of it, but considering how much it weighs versus what it does, it's actually less efficient. When you take the motorcycle and the amount of storage space it has, and you as the rider and maybe one passenger, what that one motorcycle does is nothing compared to what a car will do, right? For that same amount of gas. So it's actually really ironic. It's actually not better for the environment. And the same thing happens with the van life and the tiny house and all that stuff. It's not actually really better pound for pound. Why it says, yeah, but that's kind of like illegal. You can't just stay parked somewhere forever. People do it anyway, man. It seems like what's illegal right now is just whatever pisses off the people who are trying to run the country right now. If you want to go rob a store, but you do it with the right, you know, whatever. I'm not going to get into that here, but you do it the right way, you get away with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So I think we're going to wind down now. I guess how much work you got left to do there? Because I'm going to do...
I'm actually kind of done for today. It's a lot of wait time now.
Jockster says, time to put some sales on the cars. I think people need to start working closer to home and start biking and walking more personally, but that's just me. Well, I know it's not realistic everywhere.
One thing that the coup proved was that more and more jobs can be done at home.
That's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that that's one of their goals. One of their goals is to get more people to work from home. It really is. That's actually not even, like, if you guys remember watching a couple weeks ago, we did the, what was it called? Plandopolis, Megacities on the Move. That's actually one of the goals, is to get everybody working from home as part of the Great Reset. They want more people working. They want more automation, less human interaction. They want you at home working from home. It's more green to do that. So they want everybody cooped up at home. But I actually don't disagree with the basic premise of that.
It's a way for them to invade your home, like they did with schools.
Yeah.
They can peer into your room through your freaking web.
Through your computer. Yep.
Oh, we have a meeting today. Everybody get it. No.
Look, I feel bad that I got cameras all over the place around here. I mean, like, it's like, you know, they're invading my space right now. Maybe there's no human eyes looking at it, but it's all going into different, you know, servers that hold all this stuff. They have access to it if they need to look at it. That's enough. Like, we went from, oh, I'd never let Big Brother into my home, to Big Brother, can you buy me a steak off of the shopping network tomorrow, Amazon person? Thank you. It's like, we're all dumb as shit. Like, we're all really dumb. So,
you know, that's the thing I loved about Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson shooting down the drone.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, Das Falsch is saying not in a really, I mean, I know, I'm saying it's not really convenient everywhere to work from home or take a bicycle everywhere. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that there's a lot of places where it could be. Like where I live, honestly, dude, you don't need a car every day. Like we ride our bikes now more, and it's so liberating because it's like I don't have to fill up the gas tank every fucking 2 or 3 days now. You know, you can just ride your bike to unless you got to do big shopping, you can just ride your bike where you want to go. So I don't like cars. Like you can ask my wife. Like I have a license, she does most of the driving. I don't like cars. I don't mind sleeping in them and riding in them or anything. It's just I actually, when I was growing up, I walked everywhere. Like everything I did, I walked. If I didn't have a ride, I didn't go, oh, I can't do it. I would just walk. Nowadays, I'm like, I can't do it. I've turned into a lazy adult now. But when I was younger, I didn't care if I couldn't walk. If I was like in my 20s or 30s, I didn't care if I couldn't drive. I'd just walk. I took the bus everywhere. Remember when we met? I took the bus everywhere. Mm-hmm. I took public transit everywhere. And I worked in the city a lot. So I got used to like public transit and walking.
Well, before I got a car, I rode my bike everywhere.
Yeah.
And that was something I was remarking about the other day. When was the last time I really rode a bike long distance? Over 20 years ago?
Yeah. And by long distance, that's like more than like a mile or two. Well, we did that at ComSet. We rode, 6-7 miles all told?
Yeah.
And that was nice, man. We had a good time.
That was nice.
And I want to do that again tomorrow or Saturday if we got the time. So.
Well, it used to be that I would take my bike. I had a purpose to go somewhere. Like, oh, I got to go to the store, and it's like the next town over. I'll take my bike. Mm-hmm. Now it's you just hop in the car.
And especially where we are now, it's getting so crowded. Like people don't realize they see it. It looks like a nice suburb, but it's bumper to bumper half the time because there's a lot of I don't want to say all the reasons, but some of it's you got a lot of sanctuary city stuff. You got a lot of growth. You got a lot of people coming in. It's getting really overcrowded. You know, houses not that I care about.
Are erected where there shouldn't be houses.
Those big and they're now putting in like bigger like low income housing everywhere and. Nothing against the people or anything like that, but it's getting overpopulated.
More and more retirement buildings, too.
More and more retirement buildings, and it's just it went from, like, the main road that we live off of. When I was younger, the traffic on that was sparse, right? You didn't really have much bumper to bumper at any time of day. Now, even unless it's a Sunday in the morning, you're pretty much staring at somebody's bumper the whole time, and it's not easy to get around like it used to be.
When I'm sitting at work and I see bumper-to-bumper traffic out front all day long, that just proves things. Mm-hmm. All day long. It doesn't relent.
No. So it is getting a little... So I don't know. We just want to get out of here. Like, we don't care. Like, I don't know. There's even part of me who would like to go, like, to visit South America and see what it's like down there. There's so many places I'd like to see that aren't so built up and crazy. And I'd like to see that before... It's hard to. Like, what do we always feel like whenever we go off the island? Don't we always feel like
As
even
soon as you cross that bridge.
As soon as you cross the bridge and you start leaving the metro area, it's just so much better.
Trees are green.
Yeah, well, they're green in this, but yeah. So. All right, guys, I think we're going to wind it down. This wasn't the most magical or mystical stream ever, but we had some fun. Why don't you show everybody the crap one more time?
The crap?
Show everybody the crap one more time for anybody who joined late.
A lot of the crap is wet.
Okay. Well, make sure if you haven't already, make sure you like the store so you can follow it. Give it a heart. But this is all coming out soon. This is all stuff we're getting worked on.
I try to put things up on Discord in my random channel too, right on the your Discord server, my little channel.
Don't say your. It's our. It's not my Discord.
Well, no,
channel.
you know what I mean. I'm not as active socially, but I have my own little corner, my own little personal corner on there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Where I
what's up,
the things
Atropa?
I'm working on.
Atropa's here. She says, I've been outside right now in my own garden. Good for you. As little as possible to get on the road with fools. Good, good.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, bye, caught you live. So she must have been listening while she was gardening. Atropa's cool.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. So I guess we're going to wind it up. It's been about 2 hours, right? We're pretty close to 2 hours. Yeah, we're close enough. So we won't be doing a stream later tonight. So we're going to be we're doing this because we're going to the movies tonight. Yes, Cauldron just asked, actually, just as I was saying it. So you guys have a beautiful day. Are you doing live tonight? No, we're not doing a live stream tonight. This is making up for tonight's live stream. And it was mainly because we were going to go see the movie tomorrow night, but somebody's thumb got really big at the last second and like hit the wrong day.
Yeah, I take full responsibility for that.
And so we're going tonight instead of tomorrow. So rather than change the tickets and have a problem, we're just gonna go tonight and whatever. Yeah, we'll see. And then I got to start doing more videos again. The problem is like I've actually got re-inspired with spiritual stuff again. I've actually been writing like a motherfucker again, which I do write a lot, but I've actually been writing well. Like it's organized. Like it's not just like and then stop and then stop and just try. This is like nice, concise what I want it to be. So hopefully that doesn't stop. So I've been writing a lot lately. So I got a lot of spiritual juices flowing again. It's just finding the time and the interest between watching. Look, this world is really hard to look away from right now. Like it's like a monster chasing you through the woods. So I'm doing my best to just kind of keep running and not look at it, but you keep looking over your shoulder to see if it's gaining on you. And man, that fucker's there. So it's really hard to look away. And, because I don't want to get caught off guard by anything. So what I do is unfortunately I overlook, but I don't want to get caught off guard by anything. Because there's so much crap happening so fast that I don't want to be like, oh, well, it won't bother me. And then the cops show up like, you have guns you're not supposed to have. Like, I don't want to miss anything. So I want to know what's coming so I can try to get people to, to do something about it. All these people just doing nothing sucks. Orthodox Southpaw says, Top Gun Maverick, already saw it. Awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, we got the posters. We went on not even opening night. We went on
it was an early access event that our son was luckily home from A school for. So
yes,
it was awesome to go see that with him fresh out of Navy A school, a Navy movie.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So
he got good. He brought his friend. We had a good time, and it was actually really fucking good. There wasn't a wimp or a woke in it at all. It was just a good movie. I mean, it's got Tom Cruise. So some people that's a plus, some people that's a minus.
No, but it was just a good movie.
Yeah, it's just a good movie, and it actually has some bad foreshadowing in it. It actually shows America's not top dog anymore in that movie. So that's interesting. That's an interesting bit of foreshadowing. So it's actually very interesting. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah. Yep. Yes, Nina, you're right. They do use biblical dates. They absolutely do. This way it has more impact. This is like, I know Christian people that are freaking the fuck out saying this is the end of days, the Antichrist is here, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, I wish you were right, because that would mean it has a happy ending if what you're saying is true and if I believed in what you believe. No, it's not quite what's happening, guys. Not quite. It's actually much worse. They use that stuff to fuck with people like that so that they have false hope. False hope and also false fear. And that causes, those two extreme emotions cause a lot of problems. I disagree about the fall of America, though, Nina. I don't think it's the fall of America. I think it's going to be the falling away of the facade of bullshit from America and a rebirth. I think is what's going to happen. I don't think America is going to actually fall. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I will be wrong. I don't think so, though. I think America is going to be, they're going to try, and I think they're going to pull a lot of shenanigans, but I have a feeling all that's going to do is backfire. It's just, and if it's not true, I still got to go on that, because if I don't, what's the point? I might as well just put my mouth around something right now and go by. So, might as well, because the alternative is doom, and that doom is not good. So I refuse the doom and gloom. I refuse, absolutely. Yeah, the dollar might go down, but that doesn't mean the whole thing's going to go down. Dollar goes down, if it's replaced by something correctly, might actually be okay. So we'll see what happens. We shall see. The petrodollar cannot last. I agree with you on that. Does that mean that America is going to be, a big dust bowl? Doubt it. I highly doubt it. You know why I don't think so? Watch the whales. Watch what the whales are doing. Watch what the moneyed people are doing. Watch what the powerful are doing. Watch what Hollywood does. When 2020 happened, one of the reasons I had a feeling 2020 was going to be bad was because all of the really big, the Marvel Endgame shit and the Star Wars shit, all of that ended like right on cue. And I was like, and they have nothing coming. They have no big blockbusters planned. They have no big anythings. Dune is a maybe, but a probably not. Like that, when 2020 started to happen, ironically, that was a good indicator, because I'm like, they're not planning on any big money-making blockbuster things. Disney's getting quiet. They're all doing these home streaming stuff. It's like they knew it was coming. Of course they knew it was coming, allegedly. Of course they knew it was coming. Of course they did. Well, what's going on right now? No, they got big stuff coming out. Not just entertainment, I mean all kinds of stuff. So they're not shutting their industries down. They would be winding them down more if they were planning for an absolute washout. So they're not. Whatever's going to happen may be dire, but it's not going to be that. I still think it's going to be surreal, though. I think it's going to involve, ironically, I saw a headline, Crowder's calling for it. If anybody watches him, I don't know. Sometimes I watch him, sometimes I want to throw stuff at him. But Crowder was predicting China's going to pop off this year. And I agree. I've been predicting that for a while. I have a feeling China's going to pop off this year with Taiwan. Will it? I don't know. I'm thinking it might. That could be it. So, yeah. If too many people in America, at least, realize what's going on now for them to do a clean job that they were going to do. Whatever they're going to do is going to be met with organized resistance. And I don't just mean people sitting at home, cleaning their guns and bullshit like that. I mean, you're going to see wealthy, moneyed individuals resisting legally, financially. It's not going to be a clean deal for them. So it means they're probably not going to get what they want. Too many people know. And I actually think it's going to go. We still have a system of laws here that they can't just do away with. They're trying, but we still have a constitution. And all it takes is getting the right people to carry out those laws. The military is not okay with it.
No.
The military is not okay with it. I will give you conservatively, at best, 20% of the military would go along with whatever. That's really being generous. Really being generous. And it would mostly be the brass and National Guard and shit like that. The actual military would be like, nope. The minute they tried to turn that shit, with what they see going on, they're in over their heads right now. So they've got to walk this back a little bit. They got to slow it down. So. Yeah. Yeah, like Atrope is saying, it'll hit hard. I don't know if she's talking about the same thing, but but what she's saying fits what I'm saying. She says it hit hard. Oh no, she's talking about something that happened to her. I think she's talking about the heat wave. Sorry, Atropa. I was gonna read into your comment. Sorry. But she's saying it'll hit hard, but we'll be right back fighting again. That's quite literally what I'm predicting, though. That whatever this is going to be, it's going to hit hard, but we're gonna come back. I don't think we're not. I really don't. Their plan, they still got 10 years to go for the next big hit. So, close to it. They still got 8 years to go for the next big hits. They're still trying to do, infertility as depopulation. That's a slow burn. That's not a quick burn. So they're trying to do all these things, and they don't have enough power yet. They don't have their medical martial law in place, even in Europe yet. They're getting there, but they don't even have it in place there yet. Until they get that, they can't do the next thing. So they got to finish these stages. They can't just go and just pull the plug tomorrow. Like, you still got 4 or 5 years before they get even the basic stuff together that they need to do what you're describing. So, yes, Nina, be prepared, not scared. Perfect, exactly my point. I think it looks a lot worse for you because you're in Canada. And if I was living in Canada, I would be very doomy right now because Canada is going off the cliff. And if America falls, there's no hope. I hate to be that way. I hate to say, America's America, for good or will, whether you like it here or not, we've got a constitution that prevents them from doing what they want to do. They've got to find a way to make that go away, and that's not going to be done easily with this many people aware. Canada doesn't have such a thing, at least not to the degree. What Canada has is more like an optional set of protections that they can do away with whenever they want. We don't have that problem. They can't do that, not without a major upheaval, and they're not going to get that upheaval right now. They might have got it if Trump never happened. If Trump never happened and all the things were going on the last few years, there's actually a good chance it would have happened. But Trump happened, and that changed everything, whether you like him or not. Whether you like him or not. R asks, best place on the earth to sit this one out. The most uncivilized place you can find. Or your own living room. I mean, it's I'd say your own living room works too, because your own living room, you'll probably live it. You'll probably survive it. If your job is just to survive it, I don't really think that's really the point. I don't want to just survive. I could just survive it. If I wanted to just survive it, I'd shut my mouth right now and I'd say it's fine. We're like, oh, it's fine they're doing that. Yeah, we should have medical martial law. I want to be tracked. I want a microchip implanted in my brain, and I want social credit scores, and I wouldn't dissent from anything. Like, I'm a heretic about everything for a reason, because I don't want to just survive. I want to live my life, and so do you. I know you do. So, yeah, Alex Jones is a bit of an enigma. He believes some nonsense, but the crazy thing is, I think I quote this all the time. When I first discovered Alex Jones, I said to someone nearby who was watching them with me, I said, if this guy's half right, we're 120% fucked. And then I went and I started researching it, and he was like 60% right. I'm like, we're fucked. We're totally fucked. This is, holy shit, we're fucked. And it wasn't just that he was right, but it was like the right in the direction, right? It's like, yeah, he gets this wrong. He lies about this completely. He completely hyperbolically exaggerates this. But when you fit all of the things together that are happening, the pattern does fit the rough direction he's saying. So that's why even if Alex Jones is a plant or a bad guy or a lunatic or whatever, I still occasionally watch him to see what his pattern recognition, maybe he's a bad guy and he's trying to screw people up. I don't know. But I still watch him from time to time to see what that pattern looks like to him and to see if it's still happening. And they're way more hyperbolic. They'll say things like, if you watch InfoWars, they'll say things that are like, okay, that's true, but you're kind of exaggerating. It's kind of like, oh, he beat me up. Well, no, he just hit my hand. Like, that's kind of like what he does. But that doesn't mean it wasn't an attack, right? Like, we can still say, yeah, but that was an attack, though. I did get hit. And that's like what I mean. And does that mean that, what he says is untrue? No. I'm sort of agnostic about that. But I do absolutely see the of course I just read somebody said overwhelmingly, so that's the first word on my brain. I do see the overwhelming trend towards what he says, right? And I don't think that that's arguable anymore. You can say Alex Jones is a loon and a conspiracy theorist and he's wrong a lot, but overwhelmingly the trajectory we're on is exactly what he's predicting. So, what do you do? And how much of that is propaganda that we believe? I was going to do a video, but I realized I didn't really want to. I was going to do a video saying, we talk about propaganda from the mainstream media and the globalists all the time. What we don't ever talk about is our side's propaganda that's also bullshit. Mm-hmm. We have bullshit on our side. And good people fall for that stuff, not realizing that some of that, they're lying to you, but they've got a good point. For example, everyone is going, oh, well, the initial vaccination is designed to kill everybody. Well, maybe not. It's definitely got problems, right? And I'm going to get demonetized for saying, Susan Wojcicki, I'm just talking about what they're saying. This is not my opinion. I'm just quoting, guys. I shouldn't be talking about it on here. I could get more shadow banned than I already am. So that's the argument that the one side's saying, oh, it's all going to kill us all. All right. Without splitting hairs about the problems that it does have, that's too blunt, right? That doesn't have a master stroke of They've been planning this crap for hundreds of years. You really think that they're just going to like, you know, oops, we killed everybody with this? No, that's not. This was designed to get everybody on board with mandatory things like vaccination and medical treatments. That's what it's really for. They want to install medical martial law because when they can do that, they can do anything. If they can tell you that you have to take this for the good of everybody, then that means the next thing is to say, because of climate change, you got to do all this too. Right? So they would just go from something seemingly reasonable, Hegelian dialectic. There's a you know, big pandemic going on, so you've got to take your vaccines, to because the earth is getting too warm, you can't have a house anymore. You all got to live in a big prison system, right? They could. I'm exaggerating, but the point is what I'm making is that they get you with the medical martial law, and then it goes, right? Yes, Nina, that I do believe is possible. You know, the effect on the health system, that it could be a long-term thing. Yes, but to say that this one right now is designed to, no, I mean, that's, yes, there's some problems. I mean, it's not a black or white thing. So I'm not, how do I explain this? Because this all sounds contradictory from a certain level, but if you're understanding the nuance I'm getting at, yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it's having these effects. Yes, it's this. But I know all about the CRISPR technology, Nina, I do. But this is where our own propaganda can screw us up because we're taught to fear it. This extrapolates into unreasonableness that we can't prove. The job that we have is to explain to the normies, not, so if you go to a normie and say, the vax is going to kill you, that normie is going to look at you like you're insane and have 45 heads growing out of your armpit. They're not going to listen to you. However, if you make the argument that the government should not have a right to tell you what to do with your body, there's a much better argument for that with way more facts. If you tell them this because of CRISPR and because of the mRNA and it's, you know, it's got monkey DNA in it, which it does, by the way, all this other weird shit, they're going to look at you like you're crazy and they're not going to listen to you. Okay? And I happen to believe that it's not that dire. I think that it is not good. Like, on the spectrum of it's going to kill us all or it's just going to make some people sick, I should shut up because we're on YouTube. But on that spectrum, I don't think it's going that way. I should probably like completely delete this video because they're going to totally go after it. Look at Bieber. Yeah, I know. But that doesn't... Correlation doesn't equal causation, but there are problems, right? It's sort of, again, I don't want to overstate it. I don't want to overstate that it's a problem, but I don't want to understate this. I mean, I won't take any further treatments of it. We had to take some because where we live, there's certain things we had to do anything. And I rationalized it. I assessed the risk and I said, they're not going to make this it's not going to like get you because then they wouldn't be able to trick everybody else to taking it. The one that's the problem is 5-10 years from now. If they got their way that you had to take whatever they give you, that 5 or 10 years from now, that's the one. They don't have the system in place yet to just get everybody with it. That's too out of their control. One of their mottos is order out of chaos, guys. They don't want to they would just do it then. They would just release it. And why would they do it with a jab? That's so stupid. They would just release something and that would be it. They would release the big kill. They wouldn't inject you with it. They would release something and they would already, the things that I understand about what they can do, they could have a designer germ that they could turn on and off. Trust me, they probably did. I know people in the medical industry. I talk to them and I go, what if this was something that could be turned on? Like they could release it, but it had a limited shelf life and they could keep releasing it or keep it on and have it be really dangerous in the beginning and then not in the end. That seems like what happened. I know a guy in the medical industry, so that's why. Anyway, I don't want to get, because you probably can tell I'm having a hard time talking because I keep trying to go, YouTube's going to ban you. YouTube's going to ban you. YouTube's going to ban you for this. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of in a bad spot. Can't really say what I want to say. Can't say what I want to say at all. So, yeah, Das Fall says, yeah, DH, delete. I may delete this one. Yeah, so I do like Salty Cracker, but at the same time, like, I get it if you don't. Like, he's an acquired taste for some people. Salty Cracker cracks me up. I watch all kinds
with
of
a whole lot of hopium.
Yeah, well, it's all over the place. I watch X22, I watch Salty Cracker. I also watch the other side a little bit to see what they're saying. So I'm sort of I rub my eyes all over all of it, and I end up being attracted to the ones that are the most entertaining. So that's what happens. But I also educate myself in other ways. That's why, you know, I don't just ascribe to the most off the wall beliefs on either side. Like, what was the one I saw yesterday that the reason the oil prices are so high is because the oil companies want to install fascism by undermining Biden. That's what I saw from a person on the left yesterday. It blew my mind. I'm like, wow, that's your reality, and my reality looks like this. Now, which one's real? What the hell? Which one of the insane people is right here? I don't know anymore. I just know that the one that's trying to silence me and put stuff in my body is wrong. That's all I need to know. Like, that's all I need to know. Anything else is just ego at that point. You want to put stuff in my body, you want to silence me, you want to take my guns away, you're the bad guy, period. Same thing with the abortion question. I don't want that. I don't want them to turn that off. I want, like, and that makes me unpopular with conservatives. Oh, well, I don't think that should be a, you know, whatever. It's your body, I guess, you know. You can have that argument another time, but I'm rambling now.
Well, you know.
I might delete this one, guys. I might delete this stream because we are definitely hitting the Susan Wojcicki button right here. So this one might get deleted. I do apologize. Camilla's like, no, my new products won't be seen by anyone. No.
It's okay. There's always other ways.
This is all entertainment, Susan Wojcicki. None of this is real. This is all us just goofing. I am satirizing the people who believe these things. So. Nina says they can't just spray and kill. They have to consent. Tell that to all the people that they freaking white phosphorus in wars. You don't have to consent. That is in one sense, that is one of those occult principles that they do follow. It seems they do like to reveal things because it absolves them. But it's also, you don't have to necessarily individually consent. Society has to consent. And it's not about you consenting personally. Yes, it's better for them if you can personally do it, but yeah, no, I disagree. I think that when they are ready, because they are already infertilizing you right now with the chemicals they're putting in everything, and they're going to say we're not doing. I should say allegedly they're doing that because they'll say they weren't doing it on purpose. That's already a done deal, and nobody consented to that. Nobody said yes, you know, make me infertile. So that idea that is you have to consent. No. Societally, they prefer it. Yes. It does absolve them from certain things, yes, in their minds. And that's what it really revolves around. It really revolves around them feeling absolved of any, you know, moral, karmic responsibility. You know, so we can, like I said, we can stretch our brain around our side's propaganda and suck it down too hard when it's not necessary. We don't have to worry about all that stuff. All we have to do is recognize that there are people that want to control our bodies, inject us with things, take our rights away, and we can stop that. That's all you need to do. You don't have to go into, you know, extremes to stop that. And the average person hearing those extremes will tune you out immediately. So it's important to communicate with the average person. You have to be able to communicate you have to be able to talk to somebody on the street that doesn't understand any of these things and say, do you think it's right that they want to forcefully, you know, and they're going to parrot to you an argument about why, well, you don't have a problem with it when it's done to children for school. And I go, well, yeah, actually, I kind of do. I kind of do have a problem with that. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, it can't be a recommendation or any of that stuff, but, you know, I don't like that you're mandating things. I really don't. I don't think that's right. And we can have that conversation. But what we can't do is say, do you know that they put nanites in the shots and that's why you're all going to die in 5 years? They're just going to walk away and you've just lost the war. You've got to realize the war is for the mind of the normie. That's what the war is for. It's not to prove that they're all, the Christians would call them satanic. We might call them vampires from reptilian dimensions, whatever we want to call them. We don't want to play that game too hard because you can get lost in it to the point where you can't think rationally about it. And it can screw you up. It really can. I've played that game. Believe me, the reason I know what you're talking about is because I've looked at that too. And I've said, well, that could be. I mean, that definitely could be. That whole, you know, David Icke thing with the reptiles and all that. When he backed away from it being physical reptiles, it helped a little bit because the whole idea that they're interdimensional vampiric beings, that I can see. That I can see potentially. The whole it's reptiles, you know, in human skin wearing cloaking devices stuff. That had to go away. And if it is true, well, then I'm a fool for not seeing it. But trying to harp on that screwed him up. He would have got a lot more. He would have got a lot more flies with his honey if he said that honey was just bad people that are like reptilian people who are sucking our energy away. It would have been so much better as a metaphor. That's all. Yeah, I didn't follow that much. I did get a little whiff of that. Cauldron Witch asked about the vaccine settlement injury. I got a whiff of it. I didn't really look at it. I think I saw a brief headline. I don't know the details, so I don't know. I'm just going to say don't know. Yeah, Das Felsch brings up Rakita Law. Rakita's getting targeted, isn't he? And aren't they trying to take him down now? Ugh. They can't. They don't want. This is all that, you know. It's all of the social credit score stuff. They're trying to control and dominate communication. And it's failing miserably because people don't like that in the West, especially in America. Yeah, you got a lot of people in Canada and Europe and Australia that are falling for it and are fine with it because they live in this little bubble and they think that they have this, they think we're the ones with the arrogance problem. They live in this bubble where they don't mind getting stepped on by authority. America has a tradition of saying fuck you to that shit, which is one of the reasons why they're probably invading us with so much, crap. So it's not working though. America's going, too many Americans say no. And it's not going to be a clean win here for them. And that's why I don't think they're going to win. It's just not going to work. And if it doesn't, well, I'm going to go down, doing the right thing. R asks, if this is a multi-century plan, does that mean these people are immortal in one way or another? Most people can't stick to a plan for a year. I couldn't answer that from a realistic perspective. I mean, I do believe that they have access to technology we can't imagine, or I should say we can imagine, but it's well in advance of what we have. Like if you look at fighter planes that we have flying around right now, some of the most newest we know about are 25, 30 years old, right? And those are still top secret. We don't know what they really have, right? At all. Like look at how fast technology advances. Do you think we're even remotely aware of their highest level shit? I don't think so. I think that like Google just came out with that AI thing, that Lambda thing. That to me tells me that they have it already, right? They have it and they're trying to normalize it in the collective conscious that it could be. This way, when they reveal it, it's not going to be a big shock. And I actually thought that might be an ad by Google. When that guy came out with it, I'm like, that's a pretty good bit of viral marketing right there. Like have a guy that you're going to pretend like released it and shouldn't have and let him off without, give him pay for a year, but put him in timeout. And he probably gets some money under the table and he gets to, take a hit to his reputation, but they get to, advertise how good their AI is that they can fool somebody. And like I always look behind every curtain I see. I always try to look behind and go, what's the real angle here? What are they really trying? How do they benefit by releasing this information? Why would CNN, why would all these channels suddenly just blurt out this guy thinks that there's AI at Google? Why would they do that when they're in the job of deception? Why would they be honest about anything ever if their whole thing is to deceive you? So that makes me wonder what's really going on. Yeah, I don't trust it. Don't trust it. Orthodox says, I think picking such a dumbed down puppet for president fucked up their progress for world domination. I disagree. I agree, but I disagree on one direction, actually. So I agree on the one sense. It's definitely screwed up as a public relations problem. But I think that was their plan, in part. I think that they wanted to demoralize us by showing what they could do to us. And they wanted people to give up. They wanted people to look at that and go, fuck, if they could rig that into place, we can't win. Well, guess what? In a lot of the patriot circles that I frequent, unfortunately, that is a sentiment that has taken root for a lot of people. If they could rig this guy in, then there's no hope of voting ever again. We better go to the gun solution. The problem is if we do something stupid like that, that gives them all the rationalization they need to just steamroll us. So it's not that simple. It's not that simple. So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, So. RS, is there a solution to all of this, magically speaking, or only a political solution? People make the misunderstanding that magic causes things to happen, in my opinion. And I shouldn't just say I say in my opinion because people don't want to hear it and they get offended. So they would rather hear me say in my opinion. In my opinion, magic doesn't cause shit. Magic is a tool that we use to learn the divine will of our true self. And by attempting to do magic to cause things to happen, the ego comes into conflict with what will be. Not conflict, but as I said before, conflict. Comes into a kind of conflict with what will be. Sometimes what will be matches what our ego wants, and sometimes it won't be. The act of magic, we look at it like I've got to do different rituals to get what I want, and if it doesn't work, I change the ritual. But what we don't see going on under the hood of all of that, where we go, well, maybe I used the wrong candle color. What we don't see going on under the hood is our own egoistic mentality coming to terms with its limitations. Over time, the ego aligns with what the divine wills. And the divine is not separate from you. You got to remember that. Like one of the things people get hung up on is so you're saying it's God's will like a Christian. Oh, I guess you're a Christian. But they don't realize what I'm talking about is the divine I'm talking about is what you really are. So this egoistic persona you have is the lie. This idea that you're whoever you think you are, that's the problem. So when you're doing a ritual to cause something to happen, that's an egoistic framework. Will it still sometimes appear to work? Yes, indeed. And that's when the cool shit happens. The problem is that's not the lesson. The lesson is supposed to be realizing, did I cause it or did I predict it? Which was it? And if I predicted it, was it really a prediction or was it always meant to be and I just became aware of it? What's going on here? From the non-dual perspective, the realization is you're not causing anything and nothing's causing you. It is all the divine will spontaneously happening. It is the Tao, right? The Chinese Tao is what we're talking about. The Tao is the way. It is just the way things are. It's an unspeakable reality that it's a flow. When you become in tune with the Tao, you wield the forces of the universe to your will. You realize the will is what's happening. So what magic does as a practice, it's a part of theurgic realization that you are the divine. As you do your spells, like your little witchcraft spells or your big high magic rituals, whatever you're doing, as you do those and you set an intent on the altar and you do these things, it's a process of aligning. It's literally yoga. If you understand the meaning of yoga, you understand what I'm talking about. Yoga means to yoke, and it means to have the ego and the reality align for a change instead of being in harsh conflict with each other. R says, but isn't the point of getting rid of the ego not wanting anything anymore? No. So how can God want something? No. So that's all a lot of hooey misconception that comes from, I got a super chat. Thank you, Vince. Vince, thank you for bringing this thought process always. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate 10 spot. Thank you, brother. No, the point is not to get rid of ego. No, that bad monkey, bad. No, the point is not to get rid of ego. The point is to transcend ego, to realize the ego is a delusion. That doesn't get rid of it. You don't stop experiencing ego just because you realize ego is a lie. Okay, ego is, you reify your ego. That's not even a mistake, but that's the delusion, is you think ego is real and it's a thing. Okay, isn't the point of getting rid of the ego to not want anything? Of course not. Wanting is an experience. You don't stop wanting just because you're no longer egoistic. It's that you don't want. Want is a feeling. It is no longer a reality. So, for example, I want to go soon. Okay, I want to get off this stream soon. Okay, but I know that's my D.H. Thorne's thing. Going, I want to go. I'm going to go whether I want to or not. What I want is not the point. Want is a reaction. Desire is a reaction. It is not a reality, right? So this whole idea of getting rid of want, no. That's, you can't get rid of want, ever. Certainly not on purpose. Want subsides on its own when the ego aligns with what is. But the point is not to be without want. It is to have want not be the thing that controls you. It's all very, very challenging when you're caught up in an egoistic frame. You think to yourself, well, I've got to get rid of my desires. How do I do that? Ah, fuck, isn't that a kind of desire? I can't do it. Of course you can't. That's the point. That's what makes this the paradoxical reality. That's why I often say when you reach a paradox and you hit this wall, like I can't do anything, you've got to transcend it. You've got to transcend the duality of can and can't, must get rid of, must not feel desire. Yes, of course, R. So R said, how do you know that the globalists aren't doing the divine will? They are. Just because I am in opposition to what they're doing doesn't mean that I have this idea that they're going against the will of God. This is where it gets kind of tricky. Okay. You're not wrong there. That's actually the difficulty. And a lot of them, from my own understanding, what I call the hidden masters, think this way. The way they think of it is, this is the divine will. If the divine doesn't want me to do this, it will stop me. That leads into what Nina's talking about, getting our consent. Okay, but that's just a way that they see it. They see themselves as a force of nature. Well, so do I. But a force of nature is a delusion. There is no force. Force requires a sort of egoistic perception to say, I oppose. So, yes, they are part of the Tao. It may be the divine will for me to go through this life and be executed in front of a wall for speaking the wrong things. That may be the truth. But it means that's also part of my divine will to pretend to fight against. Think of it like a TV show. So you're thinking of it like it's supposed to be a certain way. But it's not supposed to be a certain way at all. It is the way it is. There is no, the Tao has no purpose. This is an old Taoist. Read the Tao Te Ching, okay? The Tao has no purpose. There's no purpose to Tao. It goes this way and that. There is no point to it. It does what it wills. There's no point to it. Ego wants there to be a point because ego gets validated by that. If there's a purpose to it, ego can say, that's why. Ha, aren't I special? Think of what a Christian does. Christian says, God's doing all of this to teach me a lesson. Whoa, that is hyper egoistic. You don't get much more egoistic than that. That's like one of the most egoistic things you can imagine, is that God is doing all this to teach you a lesson. You don't even exist. Who is it teaching? Think of it more like God is just enjoying a dream that it's having. And sometimes that dream has to be dark. Sometimes that dream has to be apocalyptic. Sometimes that dream has to have people like the globalists putting us into gulags and killing us all. Sometimes that dream has to have that so that the dream can also have people fighting it, and they can have the victory of winning against it, perhaps. Or maybe they don't. But I do know one thing. The divine loves all of this. The divine enjoys all of this. This is not horror, as bad as it may get, as painful as it may seem. This is ultimately fulfilling a bliss. It is blissful fulfillment. It is serenity and peace at the highest level. The universe won't care. If we go out in a big poof of smoke, to the universe's mind, that was just a fun dream it had, and it's gone now. So part of my adventure is to recognize that in this incarnation that the divine has done and incarnated in this delusion, part of that delusion is to be in conflict with the globalists. And if I were to go against that, that's ego. Ego's going, well, I don't want to do that. I want to be whole with the universe. That's just a different side of ego being an idiot. That's ego being ego again. Do you know how I really transcend this? I just do as I will, and I don't worry about it. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. This is why I'm able to be sort of, optimistic, even though it's looking bad. I'm able to look through all the things that's going on and go, well, I could see it working out this way. I could see it working out that way. But I have a feeling it's going to work out this way, because it always seems to work out, doesn't it? You're still here, right? You're not dead. Even the worst things that ever happened to you, you're still here. So R says, can't we decide what kind of dream we are having, though? Or are we powerless? Who's asking? R, who is asking that question? You see, you haven't disobjectified. You are asking the question from an identified egoistic perspective. Who's asking that question? And if you say R, you still don't understand the question. Who is asking the question? Who's having the dream? Who's forcing it to happen? Jen's here to help me break the community guidelines. What's up? We're almost done, Jen, but I appreciate you showing up. What's going on? Says we should do a live stream sometime, the two of us. We should do that for fun. Maybe we should schedule that. Maybe we'll have a couple people on. We haven't done that in a while.
It's always nice hearing from her.
Yeah, she's cool. We should have Jen on. Jen's really cool. She has Belladonna's Botanicals. You can check her out on Discord. She's always advertising there. She's got cool stuff.
She's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, she's got some cool stuff. No, are you asking, and I'm not being critical. I know, at least I suspect you know I'm not being critical of you. I'm saying this with compassionate love in my heart. Who's asking that question? Who is it that's asking the question of, do I have control over this dream or not? Can I ask you, do you ever have control over a dream, really? By the time you decide something, doesn't it already sort of start to happen? This idea that you have a choice is the delusion. Your will is what happens. And when I say your will, I don't mean R's will. R doesn't exist. R is something that is following, not something that is happening. Atropa says, don't get stuck in Maya. Bingo. You're stuck in Maya. That's a great way to think of it. You're stuck in the dream. You think the dream person is real and has control. The dream person has no control. R says, I have no idea at this point. Good! That's the good start. Having no idea is better than having an assertion. That's the point of disobjectification. You have to have no idea in order to start to see beyond the ideas. You live in a simulacrum right now, where you think that this is real, and that's real, and I exist, and I don't exist, or I do. So what you need to look at is look up neti neti, N-E-T-I-N-E-T-I, or also look up via negativa. Okay, look up those two terms and learn how to practice them. Neti neti meditation is, there's different ways to do it. One of them is to say the divine is not this and not that, and look at everything in your environment, say it's not this and not that, but realize that it's still there. So what you're supposed to do is, it's kind of like going into a sensory deprivation chamber, where you keep shrinking down what you think you are until you're left with the only thing you can still recognize. Okay? So as you de-objectify yourself and the things that you think you are you your name? No, you're not your name. Are you what your family calls you? No, you're not. Are you a doctor? Maybe you are a doctor, but you know what I'm saying. Are you actually a doctor? No, that's just something that you've experienced as doctoring. You're not actually a doctor. Am I a human? Well, what does it even mean to be human? Does it mean this lump of flesh? Well, what is that? And you have to keep destroying everything. You have to keep being critical and skeptical of everything. Anything that you say you are is a denial of something else that you are. If you say I'm a human, then you're denying being this cup. I am D.H. Thorne. I am not this cup. That's really what you're saying. If I say I am D.H. Thorne, you're saying I'm not the universe. But you are the universe. You're what the universe is doing here, and what's happening here is what's doing the stuff out there. It's all one big happening. There's no division at all whatsoever in any of it. That means that even the identification of it is an illusion. If you say this is a cup, you're denying that this is a bunch of atoms. If you say this is a bunch of atoms, you're denying that those atoms are made out of energy. And if you say that they're made of energy, you deny the emptiness. What is the emptiness? Isn't it just another kind of energy? And you're doing all these mind games. It's creating an illusion of stuff and things and shapes and forms and ideas, and they don't exist. They're all just perceptions. They're perceptions that are turned into things, including the idea that you exist as are, or you know, Jen, who says I'm a cup. She says, you totally are a cup, DH. I am a kind of cup. I would agree with that. You know, my moon sign is Cancer. I think that's the most cup you can get. So I don't think you get much more cups than that. Very watery as fuck.
If I can interject real quick.
Yes, interject, my dear.
I have to bounce.
Okay, bounce away, my dear.
All right.
So that means it's probably going to screw up our screen. Let me turn you off first.
Hi.
It may kill the feed. If it kills the feed, I'll just say goodbye. So capture. Boop. Okay, you're invisible now, so it should be okay.
All right. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
All right. Goodbye. What about transference of consciousness? What's transferring when what are you talking about? Like, define consciousness. Consciousness, as defined by modern materialists, is not consciousness. Consciousness is the silent observer. It has no thoughts. It has no feelings. All thoughts and feelings happen within it. Consciousness is the observer. It is not the thoughts and feelings. There's nothing to transfer. There are certain meditations you do indeed become a cup. Well, that's the ideation of a cup. There are no cups to become. You know, this is, you're definitely, so these are good questions, but the questions are, if from my perspective, those questions are indicative of the problem. They're not, If I answer each one of these questions, you're not going to actually get the answer, because none of these questions. So I have to assess the root problem, which is the delusion itself. It's sort of like, imagine that we're watching He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, okay? And you're a little kid, and you believe He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is real. And so you're asking me, you know, Thorne, why is Skeletor evil? Why does He-Man need the sword? If I got the sword, could I be He-Man? If I got the sword, you know, the sword of eternity, or whatever it was called, whatever. What was He-Man's sword called? Sword of, fuck, I can't remember now.
Know it too.
I'm more of a Thundercats fan anyway. Anyway. No, that's Thundercats. Anyway. So you'd be asking me all these questions, right? And I can answer all those questions. The problem is, I know that He-Man is a cartoon that was written by somebody. So the real answer to all of your questions is because somebody wrote it that way. That's the real answer. But that's not a satisfying answer if you want the fantasy to be real. So if you're watching He-Man as a little kid, and I say to you that the reason why Skeletor is evil is because the author wrote him that way, does that make you happy? Does that answer your question? No, because you don't care about that. You're more concerned about the cartoon. You want that fantasy to be real. You want He-Man and for Skeletor to have actual motivation, but they don't exist. And I'm telling you, in a very, this is an analogy. It's not literal. Don't take this literally. Don't overthink it. The analogy is the same here. I am telling you that R is not real. All of these things that you're perceiving as, is this my motivation? Why are the globalists evil? Why am I good? Blah, 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 blah. You're asking the question from the perspective of a little child watching it thinking it's real. You still haven't realized that it's just a cartoon. What is it called? Power Sword. What? I don't believe you. I'm going to look it up. Did you just look it up? What? Oh, the Sword of Power. I think it's called the Sword. Wait a minute. No. What is the name of He-Man's sword? Fuck you, it is the Power Sword. I hate you right now. Fucker. You're lucky you're hot. Damn right, you're freaking pain in the hot shit ass wife. Why'd I marry you? Supposed to let me be right. I'm supposed to be right about everything. Anyway, that's a joke, guys. That's a joke, obviously. Let me switch over. I was gonna go, and here I am fucking carrying on with this fucking shit. But trust me, I'm not saying this in a way to look down. I'm not looking down here. This is just, it is meant to be, it's very difficult from the child's perspective to realize He-Man isn't real. Okay? A young enough child thinks He-Man is real. And it's very similar to what's happening here. You think that all of this is real to the point where you want there to be reasons, but there aren't ones. The reasons come after the facts. This is how it's always been. Oof. So reality as we experience it is sort of one big mental illusion, or could you tell me your description of reality so I can better understand? It is not my description of reality that I'm reciting. This is, if you look up Advaita Vedanta, if you look up all of these different non-dual metaphysical, mystical perspectives, I am reframing and redescribing and regurgitating those philosophies. But the thing is, that's not where I come from. I had a non-dual awakening on my own, realized all of these things, but struggled to explain them. So I started looking it up and I started trying to talk about it. And the more that I did this, the more the two happened together, where I would, you ask my wife, I just said to her the other day, we were watching something about Jung. And I said, holy shit, Jung basically said everything that I said in this one element. Holy shit, all this stuff that I'm realizing right now is exactly what Jung described. It's like, it's synchronistic. It's correspondent, but it's not causal. Okay. So reality as we experience it is a mirage. Even the mind, you know, a part of the problem is the definition of words. What is meant by mind? What is meant by consciousness? What is meant by intellect? What is meant by the self? All of these things have to be properly defined. I can't do that in a conversation so easily. But there are ways to do it. You know, there's ways to write about it. It's just not easy especially when I'm animated in a talk to everybody kind of thing. If I set out to talk about non-duality today, maybe everybody may be different. Even though what we are experiencing isn't real, we are still experiencing it, right? When you are standing in a desert and you are looking on the horizon and see water there, and then you go over to the water and it's not there and it was a mirage, did you experience water or a mirage? You can't answer that question. At the time that you saw it, you experienced water, and water was there from your perspective. Water was there. When you got there, it wasn't. Does that mean that it was never there, or that it was always there? What does it mean? You only realize it's a question. Also causes us to wonder, is there ever a self? If you go looking for yourself and find nothing, what are you? Real reality, actual reality, the reality that is real, the only real reality that exists at all, is the thing that's observing that. The only thing that does not change, the only thing that is there always, the only thing that never goes away, does not experience change, is the observer. The observer is what is always there. That observer is what, in most people's linguistics for non-duality, is called consciousness. But even consciousness is a fuzzy word. What do we mean by consciousness? If you're a typical materialist, you think I'm talking about your thoughts and feelings, but those aren't what your consciousness is. Those are things consciousness is experiencing. You can completely eradicate thoughts and feelings and still be totally conscious. What does it mean to be conscious? Do we have any choice in what we are observing? Choice is an illusion. You observe what you observe. The idea that you must have a choice means that there must be something you can and cannot have. Means that you have choice, means that there are limits. Choice implies you can only have one or the other. Consciousness has no such choice. Consciousness has all. There is only all. Consciousness is all there is. Consciousness is in everything, is everywhere. It is the whole thing. There is no choice for consciousness. Do we have any choice? What we're observing is exactly what the ego would ask when it wants to have what it wants. You're looking for shortcuts to get what you want without looking at what you are. Ego is saying, I want to have my cake and eat it too. I want to be Harry Potter. I want to wave a magic wand and get $1 million. And magic will give me that ability. And magic that Thorne's describing, consciousness can choose what it sees. The idea that consciousness can choose what it sees implies that consciousness has to make a choice at all. Consciousness and the Tao are together as one. They do. They experience. Consciousness is. There is no choice. What manifests is what manifests. Who is the one choosing R? This is the question that I keep asking. You haven't answered that. You're avoiding that question, to be brutally honest, because it's either alien to your mind, you haven't really examined it, or you're still looking for a way around what I'm telling you. Who is asking the question? Who is the one who wants to choose? Find the one who wants to choose, prove it exists, and then you can have your answer. The one that's asking the question, the one who wants to choose, the one who thinks it has a choice, the one that's trying to choose, the one that has the desire, find how they exist. If they don't, you have your answer. If they do, you have your answer. I don't have to prove it linguistically. What you have to do is prove it yourself. And the only way you're going to do this, you can't assert an ego exists. There is nothing you can say that proves you exist as an ego. You can only prove one thing to yourself, and that is that you experience something. You can't prove what it is. You can't know what it is. All you can prove is that I am that. Nothing. In fact, I would even say I am is a misnomer, like the whole Yahweh. It's one of the reasons why Yahweh is equated with the demiurge. Because to say I am is an assertion. The only thing we can say about the divine is that it is. Sounds the same, but it's not. I am is an egoistic statement. It is the truth. It is as it is to be as it is. And it will always be as it is. So, yeah, experience is an illusion though. experience as a noun, experience as an afterglow is illusory. Experience as consciousness is not. That is to say, the things you experience are illusory, but the experiencing of them is, it's sort of like saying, when I say that there is a divine being, that is to say, the word being is the key. Being is not a noun. Being is an activity, right? So if I were to put it analogously, the divine is not a dream. The divine is not a dreamer, because both of them are an aspect of the dream. The divine is the dreaming, ing. Dreaming is the divine. The divine is dreaming. Not the divine is dreaming as an activity that it's doing. The divine is dreaming. It is that dreaming. That is the divine. It is not a thing. It is not a knower. It is a knowing. The divine is a knowing. You are a knowing. You are a consciousness. The divine is an activity that is a being. It is a verb. It is not a noun. It is not a thing. There is no thing to cause. There is no thing to choose. There is no thing to be. There is only thinging. There is only a verb. DH, if what you say is true, why are you so concerned about all this globalist stuff? See, that's a misperception again. DH Thorne can be as concerned as he wants to be. That doesn't mean that the divine is concerned. You're again confusing the illusion for the thing that observes it. DH Thorne will say whatever DH Thorne says. It's a mask, guys. Look up the word persona and understand what the ancients were trying to tell you all the way back then. The person you think you are is a mask for something else. The thing that you truly are doesn't have these desires. The divine has no desires, but it experiences all of them. The divine has no name, but it is named all of them. The divine has no wants, but it has all wants. It experiences all wants, excuse me. The divine has no body, but it experiences all body. This idea that D.H. Thorne is so concerned about this, that's the ego. D.H. Thorne is an egoistic mask. And when I am caught up in that, then I suffer it. When I'm not, D.H. Thorne can still go on talking about whatever he wants. D.H. Thorne is a character. The person that I am behind D.H. Thorne is a character. They're all characters. But the idea that I am concerned is the idea that I am assuming the identity of the identity itself. But when I am in an enlightened state, I shouldn't even say that, when I am in a realized state, there is no confusion between the two. I recognize that D.H. Thorne is an experience I'm having. It's not the same thing. That's why I keep using the words disobjectification. Right, LK, the juggler juggles. The juggler is the juggling. That's what makes the juggler the juggling. The juggling is the juggler. The juggler is the after image. The juggling is what is. D.H. Thorne is the after image. D.H. Thorning is what is. This is where it gets, again, linguistically, you have to pull back. Your question again, it's like you're trying to, and I don't ascribe malice to this. You're trying to corner me in a position where I admit that I am real as D.H. Thorne. I can't do that because I know I'm not that. The reason that's so important is because then you get to say that you're real and you're not. The divine consciousness that lurks behind your sense of self is the same divine consciousness that lurks between mine when I have it. But it doesn't transfer knowledge between the two because knowledge is in the subjective moment. To put it another way, right now you have an experience of right now. Can you take that experience with you in a moment later? No, you can't. You have a memory of it, but that memory isn't the same thing. You know it's not. If you can't bring with you the moment of right now from one moment to the next, how can you bring the idea of who you are right now with who I am right now? You can't. But consciousness can be between both at any time. Consciousness doesn't have its own identity, which includes memory. Memory is a part of identity. Consciousness has all identity, all things. So why don't we see it? Good question. The real answer is because it doesn't want to right now. It's not doing it. When I say doesn't want to, that's a figure of speech. I don't mean it literally wants to or doesn't want to. It simply doesn't. Think of it like this. I do this analogy all the time. If you're reading a book, the only way to read a book is to collapse your attention around a small space that moves along a page. You could see the whole page at once, but can you read it that way? Not easily. Can you read the whole book at the same time? No, not even a little bit. The only way to read the book is to collapse your attention into a small space and scan it line by line. Then the story of the book will appear in your mind as magic. When you're reading the book Hamlet or reading any book, the characters in that book emerge in your mind, but they don't really exist. The same thing's happening to you now. Consciousness is conscious of itself. That's all that is going on at all. Consciousness is conscious of itself. And in that sort of mirror facing itself, you get the delusion of reality emerges. But real reality is invisible. Real reality has no substance. It has no form, but it inspires all substance and all form. My advice to you, this is not the ideal conversation because of, being scattered amongst different topics and all of this stuff. My advice to you is to just look up Advaita Vedanta or any of those things, non-dual metaphysics, look up videos about it, and just start researching it. Alan Watts is a great communicator, but he never comes out and says non-dual. That's one of the things that made him great, because I never went in search of non-duality. I found it by accident. He was talking, I disobjectified myself through rational discourse, where I negated everything I thought I was. I had a moment of going, wait a minute, if I'm not this guy, what am I? Boom, I had that moment where I realized. See you later, Nina. Thanks for coming. And I had that moment where I realized, if I'm not D.H. Thorne, what am I? The only thing left was just the emptiness of consciousness. That was it. And that led me on one hell of a vision trip. There's no devil's advocate there. I think it's just, so you're now saying devil's advocate, so why would I look up those things if it won't change anything anyway? So then don't. You're now talking about Zen Buddhism at that point. Zen Buddhism is an exercise in futility, meant to be done so that you realize that it's futile, so that in the process of doing so, you realize that none of it matters and you don't exist, and have a nice day. The more you ask the questions, the more you chase the wild goose, the more sick of it you get until you stop. And upon stopping, you finally get enlightened. So don't look for it. Do look for it. It really doesn't matter. You're still ascribing cause and effect. I'm suggesting to you, because you're asking, these are methods. They don't cause anything. You're not going to see it until you're ready to see it. Zen Buddhism, like I said, is an exercise in futility meant to be done until you give up. Once you give up, then you surrender to the reality. There's different ways to give up. You can just stop looking in that moment you are released. You can also stop looking because you've realized there's no point to looking. You've always been that. So many questions, but you're not asking the right ones. All of the questions you're asking are genuinely your ego saying, I want to be here. How do I prove it? Gage asked, do I ever have? So take the blue pill. I mean, if you want to, take whichever pill you take. When I say you want to, I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying to you. What I say to you has nothing to do with it. What do you think has nothing to do with it? It will be what it's going to be. There is no choice. You can't wake up on purpose. Can you have a lucid dream on purpose? And now here's where someone's going to say, well, yeah, of course, if I put the right stuff in a pair of headphones before I go to bed. No, I mean, if you're in a dream, can you choose to have a lucid dream? No, you can't. While you are dreaming, you cannot choose to have a lucid dream. There is no way that you can just suddenly decide, I'm going to have a lucid dream while you're in the middle of a dream. The only way you can have a lucid dream is if you begin to realize that you're dreaming. That's the only way. You can't cause that to happen. There's nothing you can do to make that happen. The same thing's happening here. I can't make you wake up. I can tell you you're not real all day long. That's an assertion. You're not buying into it because you have to actually do the negation. But if you do the negation, you still have to recognize what's there when it's over. You can say, so sort of like this, going back to the lucid dream analogy, if you go to bed tonight and you want to have a lucid dream, what do? Well, there's different things you can do. You can go spend your whole day for the next month asking yourself, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Just keep asking that question a lot. And sooner or later in the middle of the dream, you'll be reminded that you might be dreaming, and then you'll potentially have a lucid dream because you realize I'm dreaming. Well, the divine's doing that right now with you. You're asking, am I dreaming? I'm listening to D.H. Thorne as a reminder that you're dreaming. Are you paying attention to it? Are you realizing it? Doesn't sound like it, not yet. You can't go looking for it on purpose because you don't even know what you're looking for. You could say, I'm trying to wake up. What does that mean? What does it mean to wake up? So Cassie asks, but this question exists when asked, why does Cassie ? There's still a responsibility of being accountable, even if we are observers. Even if it doesn't matter to the self, it matters to the other. So when we say it matters, so the divine is according to Advaita Vedanta and my own experiences of non-dual awareness, when I've entered into those states, there's a sense of sort of, when I say love, I don't mean the usual sense of love. I mean fascination love. I mean, like, I love all this. This is amazing. Not like, I love you, my darling. Not even, I love you, my friend. It's like when you go to a sunset and you feel that sense of love when you're watching that sunset. That's the kind of love I'm talking about. It's a fascination. So this fascination love that you feel when you're in a true, when I say you, it's all linguistic. I don't mean you. When the non-dual experience is happening, when non-dualism is your reality and you're having a non-dual awareness, when the self is gone and there's just the non-dual, when the non-dual is there, there is this loving fascination with what is experienced. Attachment is what makes you want it to continue. Attachment is what makes you feel, and again, it doesn't make you, again, this is all language problems. Attachment is the description of when you can't let go of that sunset and you want it to last forever. But attachment is the denial that you'll experience it again. You're going to experience countless sunsets because that sunset never goes away. It's always a sunset somewhere. The sunset never goes away. It's just your awareness that shifts away from it. Sunset's always there. You don't lose anything. Nothing comes and goes. Nothing's gone. Nothing's here. Attachment is that is real and I must continue experiencing it. So this idea that you are responsible for things from within the dream, that's part of the fun. Responsibility, so duality is a result of cosmic ignorance where you forget that you are everything and so you only think you're something. When you think you're only something, that means there's things that you know and there's things that you don't know. And the things that you know seem separated because there's things you know more about from less about. I don't know what the back of this object looks like right now, right? So to me, the front and the back are two separate things, but they're not because no matter what I do, I can't change that. There's a known and an unknown side to this cup at all times. And I can never, ever see both sides of it at the same time, it seems. But I can see all sides of it if I just turn it a little bit or if I go... But I have a perception of a known and an unknown side. That perception of a known and an unknown side to everything creates a sense of possession, creates a sense of this is mine, this is real, this is my inside from my outside, me from that. This whole sense of separation then causes us, when I say cause, I mean it leads into the sensation of responsibility because then you feel like you have a literal ability to cause and change things to happen. You say, well, I care about that person. I don't want to hurt them. You couldn't hurt them if you tried because you don't even exist. That doesn't mean you won't experience them being hurt. And it doesn't mean you won't experience yourself in the position of what seems to be hurting them. It just means that you are locked in a situation where you think you're causing it. If you are in a non-dual state, and again, language is wrong here because you can't be in a non-dual state. D.H. Thorne can't be non-dual in his mind. Okay. But the divine can step back from the illusion and have a non-dual realizes its non-duality. In the realization of non-duality, everything you just described as being accountable or responsible or worrying goes away. The only thing that's left is the real reality. Why is the something even it is an illusion rather than nothing? The reason that you think there's a something, and there is no nothing either. There is a no thing. Not nothing, not something, no thing. Non-duality, why do we say non-duality? Why don't I say all is one? Why don't I say that? Why am I saying non-duality rather than all is one? Because to assert that all is one implies that there is a one for which there is an emptiness around, and a singular one. There is a one that is singular, which implies that there must be a not one or a something else. That's a binary, that's a duality. To say all is non-dual is far better, because that is saying that there is nothing else for there to be. There is only this one everything, but it's not one, it is an everything. Imagine, if you will, a solid gold cube of infinite proportion. If it's of infinite size and proportion, there is nothing but that gold cube. How could it be a cube? Without an edge to give it a cube shape, it can't be a cube. So that's linguistically wrong. So if I say there's infinite gold is what I'm saying. Oh, wait, that's a problem, because if there's nothing but gold, there's no silver and there's no dirt and there's no diamonds and there's no flesh to compare the gold to. There's just gold. So I can't even say that there's gold. All I can say is that there's infinite. But if there's infinite, there's no finite to compare the infinite to. So therefore, I can't call it infinite or finite. What can I call it? Well, I can say it's not two. That's all I can say. I can only say a negation about it. So there is no something. There is no nothing. The reason that there's a something is because consciousness, for whatever reason in the moment, there is no reason for it. The reason you want to reason is because reasons are ego-based. The divine in this moment is, there's a something. There's no reason for it. The divine can't be caused by anything. The divine is. The divine has no, it's sort of like a Christian would say, right? Nothing can create God. Well, if nothing can create God, the divine can't be caused to see anything. It doesn't need a reason. It just does. That's the Tao. All of these things are, if you look, they're found over and over and over and over again. In every single sophisticated mystical religion, you find it over and over and over again. I love Neverending Story. I never read the book. I watched the movie though. And the nothing is a fascinating concept. It actually speaks more to me about the author and their fear of the true self. Because the true self is the nothing. When I say nothing, it's the no thing. It's the void. The true self is the oblivion. We fear death because we fear the oblivion. Not realizing the oblivion is what we are. We are that oblivion. We fear ourselves because we've taught ourselves in this egoistic environment that we're not that. But that's what we are. It's definitely an occult book, though. Absolutely an occult book. There's so many things that in pop culture, fantasy, and fiction are so absolutely occult. It's not even funny. Like they've been teaching kids occultism for a long time now. Dark Crystal is another good example. I remember watching Dark Crystal, and I look at the floor, and they literally have what looks like a planetary, because he does use celestial stuff. It's got the three suns and all that, but it literally looks like the Trinity of Self that I use. It looks a lot like that, and it's actually got like astrological positions imprinted into it. Guys, look up the floor where they put the Dark Crystal in. You see look it up. It's pretty much, he knew his astrology. He was definitely using astrology, and astrology is a form of theurgy, by the way. It's a way to indistinguish the divine from the self. So it's all in everything. It's in everything. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. But all right, guys. So I'm going to be done here. No more questions. Hopefully R isn't typing on out right now. But I'm going to be going now. Maybe sometime I'll do another non-dual explanation. I love you too, R. Thank you so much for asking the questions. One of these days I'll have to do a stream where just me and you go, and you just ask questions and I'll respond. Today wasn't so good for me, but we'll do it someday where it's a little bit better. And like I said, look these things up. If you really have questions, look it up and follow those questions with these other answers. Doesn't mean you'll understand, but at least you'll have answers to those questions. And maybe someday you'll give up on asking the questions, and then you'll know. So, and I don't mean that, that's a tongue-in-cheek thing again with the Zen thing. When you give up, you have your answer. Because it's not about answers. It's about stopping questions. I think, who was that? Was that Osho? Or somebody said that. They said it's the purpose of asking questions is not to get answers. It's to stop asking questions. And when you realize that, then you'll be at peace. And it sounds, from a low level, that sounds like such a flippant things to say, but it's really not. So, all right, guys, I'm going to cut out here. I appreciate you all. Thanks again, Vince, if you're still here for that super chat. Thank you guys for all the fun. We'll see what we do next week. I do got to get Jen on here again. And we'll just have some fun next time. Yeah. All right, guys. So I'll check you later. End stream. Click.